The three ingredients for rock and roll. $50 Dynasty on Brothers of the Serpent podcast.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, angels and demons and monsters and serpents. This is a very special bonus episode of Brothers of the Serpent podcast. I am joined in studio by my usual co-host and brother, Kyle Allen, and
what's up?
Most of the members of his band, $50 Dynasty. Who are we missing?
Bimes.
The drummer.
Bimes.
So we got Tyrell Rolling Stone lead guitarist.
Howdy.
How's it going, buddy?
It's going great, bud.
Get up on that mic, man.
Oh, well, shit.
That's better.
What's going on, old boy?
Yeah. And we're also joined by GMA, who has been on the podcast many times before. He is the bassist in the band, but also is an engineer, and he's done some excellent episodes on Impossible Acts and Precision. Welcome back, Archer, GMA.
Always glad to be back.
Hell yeah, buddy.
Looks like you need some credentials added to your name there, Ty.
Well, I was the first-time caller.
That's right.
Long-time listener.
Ty was the very first caller we ever received. The only first and only caller.
We were like, we should never do that again.
That's right.
I think y'all deleted a lot of what I said. No politics.
So this is, like I said, this is a special episode of the podcast, and basically what we're going to be doing here is talking in kind of Snake Bros, Brothers of the Serpent style about the new $50 Dynasty album, Precession, which the plan is, obviously we're recording this show way in advance, but the plan is to release the album on the solstice. This episode should be coming out in the main Snake Bros feed at the same time. But those of you who are on the $50 Dynasty Patreon are getting an early access, I think,
That's
to the
right.
show, right? So thank you so much for supporting the band. And
yeah, thanks everybody. Really appreciate
guys.
it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Awesome.
all of you who support, independent artists and podcasts, you're greatly appreciated. So we're doing this for you, and for everybody else when the album is released. There will be links in the show notes for where you can go access the music. But, of course, it'll also be available on Spotify and everything, right?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
So the idea was to do the value for value model, obviously, but in a couple of places, like if you buy it from Amazon or Apple iTunes, they charge. So
Yeah,
if you don't
that's
want
right.
If you want to get it for free and all you have is Apple, iTunes, or Amazon, just go to the website, $50dynasty.com, and you can download it there.
That's right.
Free.
That's right.
If you want to pay, you can do that, but we'll get a cut of that. So that's cool. Or you can just get it from the website and donate,
Yeah, we
to our
appreciate it.
PayPal. That'd be better because, they won't take a cut.
Yeah.
Or at least not as big a one.
So what I figured we would do is let's talk overall about the album project. I know it's been years for you guys. Like, what is it? Almost 10 years? I mean, how long have you guys been working on this?
I would say the most 5 for this one, but that doesn't consider. I mean, if you consider some of the songs are really old.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'd say the Times, Where the Stories Lie is probably the oldest one.
Okay.
And the Times was when you lived in San Antonio, when you first got the house in Laurel Canyon.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah.
I wrote the Times in your house, in your living room.
Oh, okay. One of my house
Yeah.
parties?
No, I was by myself.
Okay. After one of the house parties.
I was having rough times. It was rough times for this old boy. But that was what? Was that 10 years ago already?
Yeah.
So Where the Stories Lie is older than that.
Eternum and Epoch were another 2 songs that were written before then. So 2000, let's see, I'm trying to think of, you always got to think about where you live when you wrote that song or where you were. So I was in San Antonio, and I think I was.
I think we met up at Opie Schnabel and worked on it right after you wrote it.
I wrote it and sent it out. I think it should be
Epoch?
2011 or 2012. And then I wrote actually both those songs kind of like the beginning of the year was Eternum, and then Epoch happened on the second half, and sent them to you. You loved Eternum. Epoch, you were like, meh.
Really? Did you have vocals in it yet?
No vocals. It was just instrumental. I was like, check out this instrumental song. Actually, none of them had vocals.
I trashed it, folks.
He trashed it.
Yeah, I remember getting that song when we first heard it. We were both kind of like,
Epoch?
but it turned into this amazing work of art.
Yeah. Took some time to polish out those rough edges, but
Yeah.
So let's talk about the writing process. Like, if we're going to go, I mean, you guys are already starting to do it. So how does it work? Like, we've got Kyle. So basically explain what you do. What's your job in the band?
Well, for the writing process, like, I've just found throughout my life, like, I can't force it. I just can't. It's like when I'm trying to write something, it just doesn't happen. Now, you have to be there. You got to show up. So if you're not already sitting there with an instrument or with a pen and paper, then you're definitely not going to write.
Right.
But like trying to make it happen most of the time doesn't work. But something, it's like you get that spark. You'll be messing around.
it's usually the melody. You hear a melody. And
you hear a melody and you hit some chord and you're like, whoa, dude. And then you start following it. It's almost like you're following something and you're trying to get it. It's weird. And then when you may come up with something like fairly complete. And a lot of times it happens all in a rush and you just don't stop. And then you're up until daylight, just still hammering away at it.
I do remember a funny story about Eternum. I called Kyle one night and I said, hey man, I can't write anything. Like I'm just kind of like just dead in the water when it comes to writing. I was burned out. I don't know what's going on. And he's like, well, how many beers are you drinking? It's like, well, I just have to, have a few beers every night, It's like, well, stop drinking. That's what he told me. It's just stop. And then pick up your guitar. And I picked it up. And for some reason, I tuned it to open E minor. I teach music lessons, right? So I'm always tuning it to open E major, right? To do, what is the song? She Talks to Angels, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's open E major tuning. And I was like, what if you did E minor instead of E major? So I'm there and I'm like, I quit drinking. And I just got on there and I started messing with it. And I was like, well, let's figure out some chords. And I just started figuring out some really weird chords. And then I showed him, like, this is me not drinking. And then I sent it to him. And it was just bizarre and weird. I got this little weird part. And, like, you can do this weird stuff. A lot of these is open tuning, right? So you can just play around with hammering on and doing weird stuff. And I'm like, check out this little that's all open, like there's little weird little licks here and there. And
so he's hitting on something right there. It's like when you change the tuning of an instrument, it like forces you to create new patterns, right? And then you hear these new chords that you don't normally hear, and that is sometimes inspiring. And then you're again, you're like, oh man, I want to go somewhere from here. But you don't know how to do it because you don't have a chord structure. You're not used to, so you're fumbling around. It's like forcing you to innovate. And I think that because that's happened to me quite a few times where I'll make an interesting tuning.
We need to have a guitar in here. It would be cool.
Well, we could do that second segment.
Yeah, it would be cool if you could just be like, so I was working on it and it sounded like this and I was kind of doing this. And, that would be cool.
Yeah,
we should do that.
Yeah, it definitely made you think.
Me and GMA can break out the trumpet. Just,
yeah.
That is their background. They are now. Russ has never told you folks this, but he is a world-class trumpet player. He gave it up for some reason. He had scholarships lined up. He was the most badass.
He comes down here and I'm like, check this. I'm working on this trumpet part. He scoffs at me and then like hits this super high note. I'm like, dang it! How do you do it?
Child's play, oh boy.
Child's play.
This is how you hit a note on a trumpet. But we got him in there. I think G-May was in there on some tracks.
Some trumpet blasts.
He started. I think like everyone's musical, like you guys, like Kyle and Russ, started out in Georgia. Y'all were singing in the choir.
Yeah.
Right? Y'all started out that way, and then I don't know how you picked up trumpet, though, right?
That's how we learned singing, but...
We both started playing trumpet at the same time. It's like parents were like, 2 trumpets, go.
What'd you do with your trumpet, Kyle?
Well, I think you switched to saxophone.
I ended up switching to the sax, yeah. I was a sax man, bro.
He wanted to get the ladies, folks.
Yeah, you don't get the ladies with the trumpet, I have to say.
No, you get him with the saxophone,
That's
little boy.
right.
Y'all
That's right.
started
But yeah,
out
there was a we were homeschooled, and there was kind of a homeschool band, and it was awful, but that's where we learned how to play and I learned how to read sheet music, and I mean, eventually went to DCI and then learned how to march. I mean, shit, that was hard. Like, I shouldn't be talking about my musical career. We're here to talk about you guys, but like, if you,
it's important to start at the beginning, oh boys.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just like, for me, all of my trumpet playing and stuff like that had been done in like an orchestral setting, like you're sitting down with, and then suddenly I'm thrust into this place where they're like, now you need to run.
Sideways.
Right. Yes. Sideways. Yeah. While holding the trumpet pointed up at a 45-degree angle. Yeah.
Maintain the note and walk back.
That actually was fun, man. I did marching band in high school.
You went to high school, and all of the kids that were in this thing were
all
also marching band. I had never done it. Yeah, I had never done it. I was like, when we were all in the big arena practicing the music and standing, I could just play the music just perfect, but when we get out there on the field and I'm like, I'm supposed to, I've got 4 measures to go from here, from the 40 to the 20, on the football field, and I'm like, it's just like, you can't.
You're just like, hey, the Earth is already spinning fast. I'm already moving fast. Do I really have
Can't
to?
I just stand here and play?
Because we are technically moving.
I mean, I learned how to do it eventually. I got, by the end, I could run and just.
That's
but
amazing.
I mean,
God,
it's just.
I played drums. I mean, I played the quads.
Okay, yeah.
Also, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
but you don't have to hold your breath.
Right.
No, but that's a great story. I'm glad you brought that up though. Quads though. So like me and my buddy Nick, which is one of the studios, Masonic Studios, that we recorded this
That's
at.
right, yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
we've been in bands and all kinds of stuff with Nick, and so me and Nick are sitting in the stands or whatever, and then one of these pep rally things at the high school, and all of a sudden this long-haired dude came out with these quads and just started tearing his shit up. Like, what the hell is this guy, dude? He was instantly famous.
Oh, yeah.
Right when that is like, hey, I don't watch balls, but it was just like, dude, that guy rocks hard.
Hell yeah.
We're looking for a bass player. Sorry, the old drums are filled. My buddy, who doesn't know how to play the drums, is doing the drums. We're looking for a bass player. Can you do it, old boy? And he's like, nah. No, but he looked at us and was like,
you down?
show me. Well, we were just like, hey, man, you want to rock, whatever. It's like, yeah, show me your skills, whatever. We just showed him how to play. And it's like, you were kind of like, yeah, cool, I guess. Yeah. Kyle could already play guitar and stuff. And just like, yeah, but I'm learning, like, listen to this Metallica solo.
But that was amazing to me, because I mean, I wasn't there for the first meeting because I was at college, but I did meet you guys early on, and I felt like you went through like this metamorphosis with the guitar.
Oh yeah,
Sure.
And it was amazing. It was really cool. And then of course I was also there for you starting your teaching business.
That's true.
Like you and I were back and forth. You're like, how do I set this up? Like, what should I say? Remember that? We were at Matt's house.
Yeah.
So I thought all that was cool. Like, it was like, I saw that stuff from the beginning, and like, yeah, you definitely went through it. Like, you could not play guitar, or you knew one Metallica
We
solo.
went through some bands.
I brought Ty and Nick over to my house, my parents' house, and we're like hanging out and trying to jam. And they brought their electric guitars, and then they leave. My dad's
Check
like,
out this
they
power
suck.
Your dad was like, your dad was like, hey, play an open C chord. And I'm like, what the hell is that? It's like, I just know power chords and Metallica and Pearl Jam.
In the beginning, I was teaching Ty stuff.
Show me
And
everything.
now I'm like, Ty, how do I do this?
How do I do this?
It's like completely.
Well, you showed me
opposite.
you showed me the pentatonic scale.
I did.
Right?
Yeah.
You're like, check out the scale. It's a pentatonic scale. It's
the
5 note
classic
sequence.
pentatonic.
Right? Just 5 modes, and you showed me all the 5 modes.
And I didn't know any of that. I was just like, look at this pattern I figured out.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was called.
It was a pentatonic scale.
Thanks.
Just a 5.
It's got 5 modes, folks.
Well, yeah. Like minor, major, just gonna have 7. But pentatonic, they shorted up to 5, and he figured it out, and he showed me, and then I just ran with it.
Yeah.
It's just like, let's see how fast we can go, boy.
Yeah. Well, what about you, GMA? What's your music background?
Started as a kid playing piano, then did band in middle school.
Yeah.
In high school, did the whole marching band thing.
Like playing what?
Playing trumpet in band.
Oh, okay.
Also did guitar in jazz band.
Oh yeah, he rocked in jazz.
Now
band.
GMA could shred.
I went to some of y'all's jazz band shows.
GMA could shred, folks, big time.
Back in the day.
But when he asked to be in the band, we said, we need a bass player. Sorry. No more shredding for you. But you're going to tell us the secrets that you've learned.
Oh, yeah. I did the marching band thing all through high school, jazz band, and played mostly guitar through high school. Started with playing bass when I was in middle school, and then switched to guitar.
The wise choice.
It's a wise choice. Wanted to move my fingers a little faster. Then after high school, went to college and kind of put down the guitar for a while, but picked up the bass to join the band.
Yeah, can I tell this story?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, when Archer was in high school, we were like Ty and I had a band.
Rune.
It was Rune. Russ and
Rune.
Ty and I were all in a band together.
Well, hold on a second.
I didn't go back far enough.
You're going to say, okay, tell him, Russ.
Kyle and I were like, let's have a band. Hell yeah. And I was like, okay, I tell you what, I'll go, we'll get a house in town. I'll go to Vermont and get this job that I can come back and do remotely.
Wait, that was a plan?
That was, yeah.
Oh God.
First, I didn't know it was a plan. I just needed.
Yeah, that was the plan. I was like,
You're
we got
saying there was a plan?
there was that. We were like I came back from college and I was like, dude, we should do music. Like, let's do. I mean, this is from my perspective. Maybe it's not from your perspective, but from my perspective, I was like, I came back.
I know
from
you
college.
came back from college to do music.
Yeah. And then the plan was we get this house in San Antonio
and we were gonna rock.
We were gonna rock out, but we needed. I needed a job and like we needed money for the house. So I was like, well, I can go, like I've got this offer in Vermont and it's a kind of job I could learn and then come back and do here. And so I went to Vermont for 8 months and trained on this job and got really good at it. And then by the time I came back, Kyle had already formed a band with a bunch of people I didn't know. And they were all living in the house that was supposed to be mine.
Dude, it's awesome.
And they had already written a shitload of music that I didn't know. And I've been behind ever since.
Yeah, the way I
Hey,
saw
listen to
it.
these songs.
The way I saw it was we planned to form a band, and then you were like, "Hey, I got a job in Vermont. See you later." I was like, "Shit."
Well, hold on. I was living in Nick's garage. Now we're going back to Nick, the studio guy. I was living in his mom's garage. Kyle came over and like, hey man, Russ is out, dude, but eventually he's gonna come back, but we gotta pay this rent. And I was like, well, I can't pay it, but
That's not what happened.
What I can do is live in your house and try to pay it.
Yeah.
And we can get a job at a bowling alley.
Oh, the old bowling alley.
I offered Nick the house, the to be my roommate.
Oh, yeah.
that we pay, and then it came with Ty.
Well, yeah, it totally came with me, right? Because I'm living in his mom's garage on the couch, after high school, and I'm just like, come on, guys.
So okay, go back forward in time. We had a band, and we were putting on this big show at the river in this little town, and so what is going on here?
What?
Something just.
You hear
I
something?
think it's my phone.
Ooh.
There.
Phone started causing some noises. So we were putting on this big show at the river at this river fest in town, and we were like, hey, let's put out some flyers. Let's get other bands, and we'll put this big show on. So I don't know who, but some people went and put flyers up at the high school. Band wanted. And it was my phone number, So I got the calls. We hired a band from like Bernie and some other places. And then I get a call from this guy. He's like, hey, man, we want to play the show. I was like, all right, you need to come to the tryouts. So we had like tryouts or whatever.
Yeah. Got to try out.
All right, well, what I thought happened was, do you have a drum set? We need a drum set.
That's what I asked. That's what I asked. definitely.
Well, hold on a second. This is 3 years after the dude's house, though. Like,
Yeah, I know. This is the story I was initially trying to tell.
Okay. All right.
We already had an established band, Rune, and we were putting on the show. And so Archer shows up. They need a drum set, so I'm like, I'll have it there. It'll be set up, ready to go. So they all show up. It's four of them.
No, it was three of us.
It was four.
It was me, Martin, and Brandon. Oh, and then we had
And Asher.
Asher, yeah.
It was four guys show up for a four-piece band, and then they all set up, and Asher is just sitting over there on the chair, and I'm like, is he gonna like get on the drums? And Archer's like, oh, I thought you were playing drums.
Hey, so we need a drummer.
Try it out.
He shows up to the tryouts, expecting the guy hiring him to be the drummer. So I was like, all right, screw it. I'll jam the drums, guys. And then it was a lot of fun. So then I was like, all right, like let's practice and I'll play the show.
I kind of remember this.
I'm pretty sure we blew Stash's mind.
It was a good show.
So we did this show. We practiced a whole bunch, and then of course, so then I'm like hanging out with Archer. Everybody else after practice would leave, and then Archer and I would just chill. And I was just like, dude, this guy's badass. And so yeah, he played lead guitar, and that's how we met. And so when he went off to college years later, and we had formed $50 Dynasty, you were playing bass. Ty was playing bass.
No.
We had just started.
That's not.
When
it.
we started it, you came in to play. You just played bass in the beginning.
We started your solo album. That's right, folks. There is a secret solo album that happened
God.
before Dynasty that I played bass on.
It was before Dynasty.
and we
that's true.
recorded in for you Patreon guys. You may hear a few.
No, I don't know about that.
Sea change. A little sea change.
Yeah. So we did that, and then we started.
That's true. Yeah. Anyway, I called Archer. He's in Austin, and I'm like, we need a bassist. I know you're a guitar player, but you told me you played bass.
At one point.
Like, yeah, I'll do it. So
I do remember Ty playing bass.
yeah,
I also remember that. Yep.
It's true. Yeah. Dynamite bass.
we've
player.
all been we've made our rounds, played our different parts in
I haven't
different
played
bands.
any
Dynasty started out. We had a bass player that we had to let go. Didn't work out.
Yep.
He wrote some good stuff.
But he
though.
wrote some really good stuff. Really good, talented player. Josh Small, is a great bass player,
Yeah.
and
He's rocking the drums.
still
too,
rocks.
now.
Not only became a drummer, and he just became a fantastic
Phenomenal
drummer. It's
drummer.
like phenomenal drummer. Really, really badass. And then G May stepped in, and then I guess we started writing Kings and Thieves. We started rocking, and then just like, hey,
And so
this is out.
okay, so I just want to say this: like everything that we've ever done, recorded and released, has always been like, it's been basically everything that we have completed. We just kind of, it's like this smorgasbord of different styles of songs that are from different.
Everything in the bucket that we
It's just
happen to
everything.
have.
It's like let's just like these are really rocking songs. Let's do these. There was never, we never built or constructed an album. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Kings and Thieves is definitely, it was just like,
You always had
hey,
way
here's
more-
this style, here's this style, here's this style. We wrote this. It's like, oh God, we have so many different songs and styles. It's like, let's do it. Let's just do a record and just
Throw
throw
them
it
all on there.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we gigged. We gigged a lot. We just started playing a ton. That was in we released that. I think it was was that 2008, 2007? We released Kings and Thieves. Something like that.
question.
Somewhere in there,
I
folks.
think it was 07 or
I think it
08,
was
yeah.
07, 08, and then we just gigged, and we hit.
Old Jack's Patio days, huh?
Yeah, we played a lot in San Antonio. We cut our teeth out there,
We
just
played a
playing shows.
lot of cover shows too. I mean, like shit, we played.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were pretty
We played
pretty
so
busy
many,
guys.
Yeah, so many cover shows.
And then we did All the Miles
Yeah, that little On Down the Road, All the Miles.
Wait, no. Or did we do Prisoner first? I think we did
No, it
Prisoner
was Prisoner EP first. Yeah.
So I did Prisoner EP. We won that big contest that played
Yep.
American Airlines for New Year's. That was all filmed.
Big
or whatever.
DNYE.
Big DNYE.
Yeah.
Won
With
Best
the
Band in
help-
Texas.
With the help of some automatic internet voting.
There was a big vote contest, and then we did that, and then we had when we worked with Jimmy Perkins, we worked with him to kind of pitch the band out there. Is what we were trying to do, is do like a little EP, and then that kind of expanded, and we took a lot of those tracks, released those, and then we did On Down the Road, whatever. And then all of a sudden, people stopped showing up to practice, G-Man. Someone broke up with their girlfriend and stopped showing up to practice. And then the drummer was like, "Oh, my love, I'm fucking going. I'm going to Tennessee.
Oh yeah.
See you guys later." And me and Kyle were stuck.
When did I stop showing
Holding-
up to practice?
Here we go.
We were stuck.
You tell me there's gonna be a practice, I'm gonna show up.
I'm just talking about how the album was made, boy.
I never stopped showing up to practice.
Well, we're like,
Dude, listen.
we were
Ty-
hanging out.
Ty gets so bent out of shape. And
So
it's like
huffy
he'd
puffy.
come over here and he'd be like, "God dang, GMA." He's like, I tried to talk to, "What are you doing this weekend?" "Oh, I'm going to a show with
Going
Terry."
to a show. with this
He's
new
always
girlfriend.
going to shows with Terry while me and you are down here trying to rock and roll.
He abandoned us, folks. He came back though. No. There's a glorious. He came back, but he was.
I abandoned no one.
He was wooing his woman, and he
He did a fantastic job of that.
Yep.
He was wooing his woman. No, but this is really funny though. So like, okay, so let's just get back to this is 2016. Me and Kyle are sitting there with our guitars in our hands, no amplification, zero power, right? What are we gonna do? We switched to acoustics, guys, and we started writing.
I had
songs.
this dream because Russ and I play acoustic. Like he plays the djembe drum and I play the acoustic guitar, and I'm like, man, like this sound is really cool.
It's done.
You know, and I still to this day I would love to like produce like an acoustic Archer started playing, we all, a bunch of the friends pooled together and bought him for his birthday this upright double bass.
Oh man.
And it's awesome.
Oh, it's glorious. So it was the
And so-
27th birthday?
Yeah.
Something like that.
So I was like, I had this dream of like, we should put together this like, just, it's all wood and, just acoustic beauty. I love the sound of it with these harmonies. And then we'd put all this percussion in. I've been collecting all these different percussion instruments. I love all their sounds. Then it's like, we need to funk it up a little more and like, let's try some trumpet, all this. So it was like, I had this whole vision of putting this thing together, and we basically didn't really have a functioning band at the time. And so I was just like, you know what? I'm going to pull some of these old songs out of the weeds because there's a number of songs we were like, Dynasty was just like, we just rocked. It
Yeah.
was like everything was turned up to 11, loud drums, loud guitars, really energetic vocals, all this stuff. And it's like, I want to like pull in some of these more mellow, chill songs that I have that I would bring them to rehearsal or practice or whatever and say like, let's jam this. And it would always get like faster and more energetic and loud, and the guitars would get more distorted. And I'm like, no. And I couldn't control that. So it's like, well, let's do it in a new way.
Yeah, because we were playing with Russ, the three of us.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're playing every
Lots of
Wednesday
shows.
night
Yeah.
and a lot of acoustic shows constantly. And
That was
then the bass player and drummer abandoned us.
Whoa.
Abandoned us for women.
Whoa.
Well, there's no
I was
well.
always there.
They abandoned us, folks.
I played some acoustic shows.
We got married to the acoustic sound, oh boy.
He's throwing you under the
But
bus.
most-
He's
you know?
throwing me
most-
under the bus here. I got tire marks all over me.
But many of you guys' songs start out on the acoustics, right? I mean,
Well,
even if they turn into a
Almost
hard rock.
everyone.
I mean,
almost
here
everyone.
it is. Me and Kyle were sitting here. Let me just go back to my story here, oh boy. We're sitting here holding our guitars.
Well, you got 30 seconds.
We're sitting here holding our guitars in our hands, and it's like there's nothing else to do. No, hold on. Let it go a little while. Don't shut me off here, oh boy. This is serious. It's
20
not a-
seconds.
This is not a this. What? Hold on.
All right, folks. We'll be right
We'll
back.
be right
Hold on a
back.
second. No. Hold on.
I don't care when I get out of here. And that's a lie that I tell well. Let it fall on closed eyes and deaf ears. Just as long as you can tell.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Special episode of Brothers of the Serpent podcast featuring most of $50 Dynasty, lacking Chris Byman, the drummer. Just wanted to mention this song is kind of part of Ty's story he's going on here, but this was like the first attempt at like let's do this, like let's produce this acoustic sound with some of these like slower, more chill songs that have just a totally different feel than the normal stuff that Dynasty was doing. So anyway, where were you going?
Yeah, well, I lost steam, but yeah, what you're saying though, that's a good bumper music right there because that is the song, and you basically came to me in confidence and said, "Buddy, we have just got to go for it." And I think we started that and really
Go for what?
Doing these songs,
just
these old.
we were abandoned, Russ. We were abandoned. The bass player was in love. He was in love in Austin.
Okay.
Going to all the shows. The drummer, he was in love too.
All right.
He was in Tennessee. He abandoned us. So
We
it's just
heard
me
that
and
part.
Kyle.
Yeah.
And
So
we're
you're going
just-
for what? You guys just gonna record?
We're just going for another album. We just said
Just the two of
Well,
you.
what we did really, he started out with this song, and it was just long and weird and just all kinds of stuff, and we just looked at each other and we said, bust out every weird song you got, because there's no band, because typically with Dynasty and writing an album, what we wanted to do was like, oh, let's get some really good songs that people would really like, and we focused on that. It's like, oh, this has got a good chorus, people would like that. We were definitely trying to find songs and write songs that people would really like, and with Precession, we were just like, the hell with it. Like, let's just do what we like. And that's what started
That's
this
right.
album. We wanted to do what we
And
liked
also
to do.
there's writing an album at practice in the room with everybody, which it takes on this energy and it goes in directions that you don't expect.
really
when-
loud and distorted.
Yeah,
at the
it's
end of it.
fast.
Yeah, things get louder, things get faster, and then it's like hey, this chorus isn't rocking enough. Let's like kick it up a notch, and then they just turn into things.
Yep.
I mean, when you came back from Vermont, like we were in there just like slashing it up.
Yeah. Yep.
And you were like, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah.
I remember that. He was
Yeah.
just like, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah.
What- I'm like,
what are-
"Yeah, dude,
what
we're
are you-
rocking."
I was like, what are you guys doing in here?
So
This
it
is
was
not music.
Yeah, it was.
Fucking punk kids.
We were rocking pretty hard.
this was like a direction that I just wanted to go and explore.
Yeah.
Was this like chilled out acoustic style?
And
And then Ty just told me like, dude, we need a place to record. And I had this shed and it was just like full of tools and just junk and like all kinds of electronics that were taken apart and science experiments and all this crap.
Yeah.
Which is why it was called the Science Cube.
I measured it, and it was a perfect 10 by 10 by 10, oh boy.
And he was just like, dude, you need to clean out all that crap and turn it into a studio. And I was like, you're right.
Put it in your wife's closet.
So So yeah, I mean, like Ty came over here and we just we pulled everything out of here and just completely turned it into a studio. And then we started spending the weekends recording these tunes. He had tunes, I had tunes that were, some of them were kind of seemed complete, some of them didn't. And it was just like, let's go. So we started with this one. And I remember like when Ty started putting his guitar part in, which is at the end of that song, he was just like, all right, I'm set up. He had a good sound. And I'm like, dude, I'm going to bed. He's like, all right, man. And then I wake up.
You went to sleep.
It's like, I wake up at like 7 a.m. or something.
Yeah.
And he's just like, bro. He's like, he's still awake.
I've been in here all night long.
He's been in here all night. Bro, you got to check this out. I'm going to bed. It's fucking epic, man.
Yeah.
And I listened to it and I was like, oh my God, this is fucking epic.
Yeah.
And I love it. I love this, the whole end of this. It's like, because I preached to him for like an hour. I want it to be like this. Like, it's got to have this, this kind of soul. It's just, this kind of, like, he nailed it. And then this is one that didn't make it on the album because when we started to develop more songs, we found this direction. And that's where This Is War comes in.
Definitely we found a theme and a style. But yeah, and then especially going back to what you're saying, there was a consensus between us where it's like, hey man, let's really like go out there.
Yeah.
And none of this like these songs, let's just take some weird riffs and just go with it. It's like Epoch, Eternum, it's like, I was like, well, you want to do Epoch and an Eternum? It's like,
yeah, absolutely.
yeah, let's just do that. I remember when you said you do Epoch, and that took a while before we got that one going, and I was like, I don't know what to do with that song. But Eternum was like, oh, God.
Well, we were also starting the podcast right around after it turned it into a studio. We started the podcast.
2017 rolled around, and you started the podcast.
So we're like diving into all this weird, esoteric, ancient shit, and it's starting to creep into lyrics, like a line of lyrics here, a line of lyrics there. It's like getting a little more like, man, this thing that I learned inspired me. And it's like, it's like writing lyrics can be, somebody asks you, well, what's the song about? Well, it could be 100 different things that inspire different lines of the songs, or that leads you to even just create one line. It could be like multiple different things. And well, why did you say it that way? Well, I was originally thinking of like, this personal situation. And then I was like, well, but then there's this like, that kind of reminds me of this other thing. There can be so many ideas into like one line.
Yeah.
So those ideas started creeping in. And when you had Epoch, it was the same deal.
When Epoch came around, then we were full blown into it. We're like, we agreed. It's like, hey, esoteric, like this is the theme. And again, like Kings and Thieves and all these the other albums that we did, there was no direction and
there
writing.
Was no direction.
There was no
writing.
direction. It was just like,
right.
We wrote this song about this, and we wrote this one about this, and this is this style, this is that
And there
style.
was no overarching theme.
There was not even
Yeah,
close.
and it was primarily written during practice.
But let me tell you,
things were written at practice. There were like chunks of songs written about just like I was emotional and I let it out in this song.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that's catchy. Got a catchy chorus. Let's do it. And it develops more at practice.
Yeah.
But each song is its own entity.
Yeah.
There's no overarching theme.
But let me tell you when it all happened for me. So like you have your idea of like when it started, right? And then you're right. Like I remember that song in the bumper music. I was like, oh yeah, that is when it started. You're right about that. That was the first one.
Yes.
And it never made it on the album. It's just really funny.
No, it's
just
funny.
like,
We cut it.
It's cut.
Nope, it's cut because once we got the direction.
We are putting it on the next album though.
Yeah, because the next album we were talking about theming it more like bluesy and funky.
Yeah. We're gonna go out.
Because we have like a handful of songs like that, and we could put those together and then continue fill out the rest.
This last album is for those people that like to go to Bob Marley concerts and Radiohead, and like they like to do things in the back of those concerts. No, but you know where it happened for me though, Kyle? I thought that was cool that you pulled up that bumper music. But what happened to me was This Is War.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so I came over here and I
That
had
was
this
the
riff.
next one.
And I had this this riff.
Yeah, where's the guitar?
And
we forgot the guitar.
Damn it.
We're rookies.
But anyways, I had this guitar riff. I'm like, oh man, I really like this guitar riff. And there's a few songs.
remember the original?
The day you came off Kings of Thieves, there's another song where this happened with. Where's G May going?
He's gonna go.
Oh,
I don't think you can get it.
Oh, I thought it was sitting right here.
No.
Oh, never mind.
I don't know. What's he trying to get?
He was trying to get the guitar. I'll get it.
Oh no, we'll get it. We'll get it. No, don't worry about that.
Next break.
Next break. But This Is War happened, right? And so I came over there, and we were all hanging out. I was like, I got this riff. I just love this riff, and right, and we'll have to play it, right? And it got stuck in my head. And I just love this little riff, and then like a few other riffs that we've with songs that we've done. I've showed you this riff, and then I just kind of like forget about it. It's like I showed Kyle. He didn't like it. Obviously, he didn't care. He's like, oh yeah, cool riff, whatever. Next thing you know,
Not impressed.
he's like, he sends me this message like, I've been up all night. I've learned this riff. Check out these lyrics. And it's like this whole song, like, oh God.
No, I recorded the song and sent it to you.
Yeah, he recorded the whole thing, and it's just like, oh my God, there's the riff. And he started sending to me, and then we're like, oh, let's go to the vineyard at Turtle.
I remember that.
Yeah. Turtle Creek.
We spent the night in the Villa House and set up the studio in there.
And did a little set up a studio and then recorded it. And then, that's when it started for me.
So that's like
And then-
3 years ago.
And then
right?
Kyle.
4 maybe.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
this
so
was...
we're getting much more recent.
Yes,
here.
much more. So this is 2016. Okay, this all happened in 2016. This is before the podcast. Y'all started y'all's podcast.
So 6 years ago.
And then, I remember that
Or
like
5.
we recorded that deal at Turtle Creek, right? We recorded it in there, and then you fought me on the song, right? So he recorded it, just a verse and a chorus, and that was it. It's like, this is it. This is the song. Like we're not going past this. I'm like, well, boy, I kind of wrote a bridge.
I'm like, let's keep it simple.
Let's keep it simple.
It's beautiful the way it is. It's just good. And then he's like, oh, no, we're going to add some more chords in
Well,
there.
let me show you this chord progression I came up for bridge 5.
Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going, right?
Do the chord swap trick.
Yeah.
And
He did a chord
Kyle's-
swap trick on it, basically.
Yeah, I did a chord swap trip. It's like, if we just change the 4 chords in the song and just switcheroo them around and play that, then we got a solid
relented.
outro.
I relented,
But
ultimately.
yeah, eventually he came around. But I was in San Diego, right? I went out to San Diego to hang out with my brother, and he sent it to me. It's like, okay, I got your deal in there, and I recorded the vocals to it, the whole thing, and I heard it out there. And the entire time I was out there, all we listened to was that song, and we're just like, oh God, this is just awesome. Like this whole style. And that for me was what started it. After we did This
That's what
Is
started the
War, I was
vision
just
for you,
like,
yeah.
okay, here we go. Bam.
But that's what I'm saying. That's where like the weird esoteric ancient shit started creeping
And then
in.
it was just like, what are you talking about in that song? It's like, I'm talking about a lot of things, oh boy. And then a lot of things I don't know if I'm talking about, but I want people to think I'm talking about this way, but it could be talking about this way. But like, you just kind of write things just like, you want people to kind of like get what they want out of it. But at the same time, there is a message, but at the same time, I like the way you write because
It's subtle.
Some things is subtle, and it's like, you know what? I want people to interpret it the way they want to interpret it too. So you write it a lot of metaphors, a lot of
Yeah,
stuff.
he's
There's a
very-
lot of double meanings.
He's very intermediatist in the meaning of the song. He's like Fort. You're like, well, does it mean this? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I thought it might also mean this.
Yes. Exactly. So that was great, and I was like, "Oh God, dude, this is awesome." So, and then that's when, for me, really, I mean, it did. You're right when it started with that last bumper music song. What was it? What was the name of that one?
Which one?
The one,
one
the
you
bumper
just
music.
played.
Oh, Boxed Up Memories.
Boxed Up Memories. It did start with that, but then really, This Is War really started with me.
That's what I was saying.
Let's do more.
It was that recording that led us to do This Is War.
And then Deos.
And when we did This Is War, it was the same deal.
But what about when we were I remember working on Castaway with you.
Yeah.
Okay, now let me tell you, folks,
That's
about
a similar
Castaway.
the Castaway is similar.
Isn't that kind of in the same sort of time period too?
Well,
Like,
yeah.
see, that was pulling out the old riffs. So Kyle and me were partying all night long, And then he got all drunk on the couch and started playing the Castaway riff.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is awesome. He's like, oh, whatever, I'm just jamming. It's like he was playing the intro riff. And then so I recorded and like, oh, this is awesome. And it's like, whatever. And finally I came back and
all about
he forgot
that
all
riff
about it. I showed him, like, this is this riff you played, man. It was awesome. It's like, what?
He showed it to me like months later or something.
Like, look at this, buddy.
He's playing it, and I'm like, I recognize that. He's like, you wrote it.
You wrote that. I was like, what? So that started out that way. Yeah, that's really funny how that happens.
Yeah, the riff was
Yeah,
written
Kyle
a long
comes to
time
me. He's
ago.
like, "Hey, I got this real simple harmony I need you to sing."
No, I never claimed that was simple. That was a difficult song to sing.
But eventually, we just kept building songs, and eventually there was a decision made, just like, hey, listen, like, and then the Snake Bros podcast was going on, and Kyle was just like, hey, like, Our Immortality, Epoch, there were some songs that were written that was just like totally esoteric, just like,
Yeah.
and then a decision was made, it's like, hey, you know what, this is a themed album.
Yeah.
And then that's really when Precession started. And
Well, you had Wake of the Sun at the same time.
That's right. Wake
Because
of the
you
Sun.
had Soul being born.
2016?
Yeah.
yeah, Soul was born.
2016 is when
And
I wrote
that's
that song.
it's a cut part of that song that is the intro to the podcast.
Yes.
Yes, that's right. So it was quite a few songs in that 1 year that we recorded in here with the acoustics, and this is what I'm saying. This is what would happen. I would record the acoustic parts, and then put the vocals in there, and then Ty would sit in here, and it became a theme. When we got Ty's guitar set up, and it was all ready to go, and it's like it's Friday night or Saturday night or something. Maybe it was Friday night. I'm like, all right, bro, I'm going to bed. And he's like, all right, man, I'll see you in the morning.
See you in the morning, yeah.
And then he'd wake
Work
me
all
up.
night, yeah.
He'd wake me up at like 6 a.m. when he was going to bed. Bro.
That's true.
You gotta listen to this song. It's epic. And so then I'm like, yeah, I'll check it out. And it happened with Castaway because he did that intro guitar, this weird stuff. I'm like, this is so weird, but it's like, I love it. And then Wake of the Sun, that was the bass. Like Ty actually wrote that bass line.
And
Very melodic
Well,
bass line.
so for those of you who listen to Brothers of the Serpent a lot, you're really familiar with the intro theme. So what you should do is look at the timestamp on your podcast player right now, pause the show, and go back to the beginning and listen to what we used for the intro here, because that is the modern published,
That's right.
That's the recorded, finalized version of Wake of the Sun, and you can hear
hear
the
those themes in
similarities.
there.
The themes are in there.
Now there is an outro to Wake of the Sun that got cut,
Yeah,
and that's the outro
with the piano and all the
and the little acoustic
Yeah.
lead part that got cut from the album because it had to be 12 tracks,
Yeah.
folks.
right.
yes.
It had to be 12. And so it was like, well, it's too long to make it one song. I want, like, we've done this before where we had these crazy long outros in these songs, but then you can't make it one track because it's like nowadays when people get like a digital audio file, it's like they want it to be like, it's basically the song ends and then you do some wild crazy shit at the end for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, you need to skip the track if you don't want to hear all the really long outro.
Well, it was the outro. Yeah.
So it was like, well, we'll make it 2 tracks, right?
Yeah.
We'll make it 2 tracks, no problem. Well, then we had another song that happened to, which was "This Is War." And we
War,
decided to take the "This Is War" outro and make "This Is War" and its outro 2 tracks instead of "Wake of the Sun" and its outro.
Yeah.
But "Wake of the Sun" has an equally long
Well, and
outro
then
that was
you-
basically a song in and of itself.
And then you had Sphinx come up. And
Sphinx came up, and then that was
kind of
yeah.
knocked the
We
outro
got all-
out.
That's true.
We got
Yeah.
all a Pink Floyd out with this record, though. It's like we didn't want to end songs, and
We
the
did
thing
not
that I
wanna end
love
anything.
about
You
this
You guys are like
this
going all
album,
full fish.
The best thing,
18-minute jam.
so the best thing about Precession,
jam, man.
my opinion, the best thing about this whole album is that we ended songs the way we felt it should end.
That's
and
right.
did keep it going the way we felt it should go. Not just be like, oh, this has got to be a single. This has got to be this. This has got to be this because you have to. It was just like, no. We end it when we want to. And that's what makes this album so special. It's basically Dynasty's almost kind of like Kid A album, or I wouldn't say Dark Side of the Moon, but it's like it's our third album, right? We're kind of just like, who cares? You know, like, let's just do it how we want to do it, end it when we want to do it, go on the feeling. There were no rules for it.
Yeah.
Unless there was a bad note, then it got cut out.
Oh yeah, you got cut.
There's a few of those.
It got turned all the way up.
This is War is really interesting too.
Pan to the left.
Fan to the left.
This is War
And
was
then
funny
deleted.
because Deos, I don't know, folks, Deos, so that is the intro to Cosmographia right now.
That's
That
right.
is, yeah.
That started out like, so there was This Is War, and then there was This Is War intro.
Outro. Well, this.
Well,
is
no,
more
it's intro. So I wrote This Is War intro. After we wrote This Is War, I was like, oh, I'm going to do this intro, and like we're going to do this acoustic album, and I'll have this beautiful acoustic
We've
thing.
got to do that intro.
And
too,
then
someday.
me and Kyle were in the studio all night, and we were writing it, and we were playing it, and it was awesome. It was really great.
It's
And
just beautiful 2-part like acoustic parts that are like harmonized. It's so awesome. The intro to This Is War, which also got cut.
yes, it got cut. It got cut because 12 is the lucky
There's
number.
only 12
We could
signs
do
in the
an
zodiac.
addendum. You know?
But there is an actual intro, beautiful acoustic intro for that song, and then it did get cut, and going to that was really a milestone for me though, because remember we went to hang out with GMA down at the river. He was at the river, not at the studio, working on. He was at the river with his new girlfriend, partying. Hey, you guys come over here. It's like, well, we're in. The
You
studio
better be
working on
thankful
songs.
for
We're
that.
hot and sweaty. We want something cold and refreshing.
Hey, speaking of that, hand me a beer.
But we went to the river with river, and then everyone was sitting in the river, and me and Kyle came down with the guitars, and we started playing it. And it just so happened my wife was sitting, my future wife, which is, I didn't know who she was, but she was sitting in this tube listening to this and was like, oh man, that was the most beautiful thing ever. Oh my God.
Heck yeah, bro! You better be
Future
thanking your
wife.
bassist.
I played her that. Me and Kyle played it. And let me tell you, folks, we played it perfectly. It was because we
had just
recorded
been-
it.
It was
It
flawless.
was like flawless. And I remember Brian was there too. And it's just like, oh my God. But we were very warmed up. And then
I didn't know you could play acoustic guitars while sitting in the water.
We were right on the bank.
We're on the
It's
bank.
like,
No, but there's more to that song. And
They
then
don't last
eventually we had to practice playing it and was like, okay, we're going to do these acoustic songs, whatever we're going to play. G-May came over to practice. We did it at the top at your parents' house. We had this practice. And then we came up with me and Kyle came up with Deos, which I don't really know how that happened, but it's funny.
you
It's
guys
like,
came up into the tower one night to
That's
play some
right.
of that, and the three of us sat
Oh,
there.
we jammed out real hard.
Yeah,
We jammed.
We
Yeah.
sat there in the dark, and I had the djembe, and we just rocked that thing. for
So
like,
Russ was really he was a key player in Deos because Ty, like I'm sitting on the Papasan chair, Ty's over there in the computer chair, and we're like, I start playing some. We've been playing This Is War, and then I start playing something. I don't remember how it happened, but I'm playing some weird thing. Ty starts playing chords behind it, and it's basically the intro guitar riff to Deos is the part that I was playing, and he's backing it up with these chords, and we're like, this is cool. And Russ is like, oh yeah, man, that needs like this. You need to have like a tribal drum beat.
yeah,
on that."
Russ came in there.
So
and
he
it was just
pulls
like
up-
tribal.
He pulls up on YouTube and shows us these like, I don't know what it's
the
Eastern culture.
yeah,
These gigantic
Like
drums
pounding on the drums.
and these
Pakistani
ripped
tribal
dudes
drum
Yeah.
wearing
thing.
butt
Yeah,
flaps
yeah.
just
Yeah.
up there just beating these massive drums, dude.
Yeah.
And he's like, that beat.
Yeah.
And so he starts jamming on the djembe,
He rocked it hard.
and we're like, yes, okay, let's plug these guitars in.
yeah,
yeah.
that was fun.
And
Yeah.
I remember like when we got it laid down, I had Russ come down and he recorded the djembe.
It was
to
12 minutes though.
Oh man,
The first track
Yeah.
of Deos
Oh,
was
it
12
was so
minutes.
long.
It was this long jam out that we recorded. And like, what are we gonna do with this?
dude, I think I still have that, like us jamming it up in the tower. On the, because I think we recorded it. That's
Yeah,
how
you
I
did. It was
remember
on the
it.
sampler.
I recorded it on the
Patreon,
sampler.
folks, Patreon.
Oh man, it's trash. But yeah, it's how this is how the things begin. So I could dig it up. Maybe I'll throw it up there.
So wasn't that was like 2016 around there? So wasn't that like? I think
That was
the last.
2017.
Okay, so I think was that the last year we played a show? Was that South by?
Man, I can't remember, dude.
Or it was either 16 or 17.
Then we
when
play a
did
couple of
that
shows
whole-
I played with you guys on stage. We all kind of dressed up.
Yeah,
That was cool.
I'm trying to remember where that. I can't remember where that was.
You had your stand up. I mean, we played a couple of
It
shows.
was like a little jazz club.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
it was
Oh
awesome.
yeah, that was
Yeah,
that
Those
was
were
good.
San
those were
Antonio,
cool.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that place was cool.
Luna, I think.
Was
So
that
what
the
were you were saying? Like
West
I
or
came
West
down
or
to
something?
what you were talking about. Like we did the Deos thing in the tower, and then
Yeah, and so by this point, or it's at a certain point, like Chris came back
yeah,
eventually.
It finally came
Well,
back,
you sent him some
folks.
tracks. You
Yeah.
sent him some
I
tracks.
think no. We sent him "This Is War."
That's
It was
right.
like, oh man, I gotta rock this.
He's like, I'm gonna set my kid up and record.
So he started recording.
Dude, he
rough
recorded
drafts.
he recorded some awesome drums to "This Is War" in Tennessee to the song that we recorded, and it was like, okay, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Looks
And-
like you're back in the bed.
You're back in the bed. So, yeah, when he moved back, basically, it was like I was just talking specifically about Deos, and I just told him the whole situation and showed it. Like we looked up videos. We did the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
We looked up those videos of those guys playing those drums, and he was like, "Oh, okay, hell yeah."
yeah.
And so then he goes to work in his studio
Yeah.
and starts, just creates this masterpiece. Like it's basically him and Russ. Like Russ is jamming the djembe, Byman's playing a bunch of toms, and
Yeah.
Russ set the tone for that song. I
That's
will
what I'm
say
saying.
this though.
He set
Russ
the entire
completely set the tone. It was like this. Without Russ for Deos, it would never would happen
it
because
would have been boring, bro.
Well, yes, it would have been like boom, 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 boom. No, Russ is like at the end of the song. Russ is all boom, 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 boom.
Dude,
it was
Yeah, blood was flying when he was
blood.
jamming.
Yeah,
Man,
Russ's hands are all bloody. It's
Blood
like
flying, bro.
That was freaking perfect.
yeah, Russ set the tone for that song, and he really did. And I think Byman heard that. It's like, okay, I get it, dude. And then he started.
And then it's like, then it was like, we got to have a chant.
Yeah. The chant.
well, that was a little bit later. So
I know. And then I said,
oh yeah, and then so
And
that means later.
well, I think so. Then we had all the songs. We eventually had all the songs lined up. We had a lot of practices. We had everything kind of lined up how we want to do it, and then we did all of our rough drafts, right?
Yeah.
And we did a lot of BPs, band
Yep.
practices,
Yep.
rough drafts, everything, and then we booked Nick's Smithsonic Studios,
Yeah.
and then we gave
Put a ribbon on it.
yeah.
Dude, okay, I just saw something
started
else.
that.
So when you guys, I think it was you, Ty, you said you wanted Where the Stories Lie in there. We had already done a band practice of Where the Stories Lie before, like we were still,
Yeah,
we were
I
just
remember
jamming.
that,
We
yeah.
were recording over at Wild Styles. This was before Chris left. And I was like, let's record this song. And Chris recorded some awesome drums to that song. And so I went digging around in the hard drive and pulled those drums up and then re-recorded all my stuff over top. That's how Where the Stories Lie really grew. And then it was like I kind of just added a few little pieces of lyrics to kind of fill it out. And by this time, of course, I was thinking, catastrophic rock, man. Like it was,
Yeah.
It was it was kind of like it took a slightly different direction because that song originally was already a, like Tower of Babel.
That's
right?
one of the only songs actually on the record that we actually did as a full band. Mm-hmm. Now there's the times that we did, but then the times we actually you scratched it.
trashed it.
Well, because the vocals were so high, you were like, "Oh my god, I'm
yeah.
screaming like Chris Cornell over here the whole time." It's like, let's pull it down.
Can't do it anymore.
You dropped it from A to D.
Yeah,
or
you
something
dropped.
like that.
You dropped it. Yeah.
E to D or something like that.
Well, you
I
dropped
can't-
all the way to D minor.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. I wrote the piano part for it.
Yeah,
and
no,
it's
you
changed
dropped it all
everything.
the way to D minor.
Yeah.
But it was shit. I think you dropped it like 5 stabs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But that was
Can't sing like I used to. Just can't get that high anymore.
and that was another thing too, though. That when we started this record, it was another thing. Kyle was just like, "I'm so
I
tired
had-
of screaming."
Yeah.
I had burned my vocals out, and it was kind of terrifying because we had been playing so many shows, and we were having practices every week, and
Couldn't talk.
I
Well,
could,
yeah, after
I
a
would
show, you
basically
can't talk.
I couldn't talk after a show, and then like it got to the point to where we'd practice for 45 minutes, and I was already losing it,
Yeah.
and then
Well, it
I'd
was
be
either
hoarse.
we could practice for the show that week or play the show.
Yeah.
But we couldn't do both.
Yeah, we could do instrumental practices and then play a show. So it was like, this is
We went
bad.
from a rock band though, but we went from a rock band to a esoteric band.
So I was like really worried about my vocals, and then so I just basically was like, I'm not doing shows anymore, and I gotta figure this out. And then I found, just by chance, I found this new way to sing. I was trying to push a car, like this dead car. We were like pushing it, rolling it, you know. And I'm at the back of the car and I'm pushing, and I'm going, like, and I'm hitting this really high note, and I was hoarse at the time. Like I was already hoarse, and I was still hitting this high note, and I'm like, how am I doing that?
Yeah.
And so I worked on it and eventually figured it out. And then we start having practices, and I'm using it, and the guys are like, what's going on with your singing? Because it was terrible, dude. At first, I did not have control of it. I couldn't, it was terrible. I was not hitting the notes. I'm like, don't worry, guys. I'm working on it. I'll get better.
I can do this all night, man.
Well, that was one thing. that was one thing that with Precession, we were very careful of that. Like, can you sing this?
Yeah,
and
there's even parts like still in the times that I'm just like, I need Russ. Like, can you step in and like do this high part?
Even then, yeah.
There's other parts in the album. I'm like, can you do this high part?
Could you
'Cause I just
imagine
can't do it.
singing the original version though?
Oh hell no!
Oh man.
The original, but the original version. The original version is it's like really Southern blues.
Yeah, it's very chill.
And this version is not. Like, this version is something else. But the original version is fast. It's more rocking.
I
and
remember we
it's
were
like,
going through that, like, what was it, like a year ago? And you were showing me.
Yeah, I was
were
showing
like,
you
"Look
all
at
the
this,
different
like,
versions."
Let's get some of this bluesy stuff back into what we're doing now.
yeah.
Didn't happen.
Didn't happen.
Well, all right. Let's
we at,
let's
folks?
take another break.
Yeah,
and
another break.
we'll get the guitar this time.
Yeah.
yeah.
All
Let's
right.
do a couple riffs on back.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Brothers of the Serpent Podcast, special episode, bonus episode. And we are Bonusode. We are joined in studio by most of $50 Dynasty, and we've been talking about the origins of the band, sort of the origins of everybody's musical talents, and now we're into working on the album itself. But I did want to ask, because you guys both said, like, you guys had this moment where you were like, okay, now we're serious about this new direction, the sort of more acoustic or whatever, the chill. GMA, did you have a similar thing where you were like, oh, these guys are getting serious on this different style with Dynasty, like, let's get involved with that?
I really can't remember when it clicked or
He was
whatever.
in love, folks. He was in
I was
love.
busy courting a beautiful woman.
So,
But so I would come out here occasionally and listen to what they had been working on, and
You fell into a
Kept getting
fire,
away.
and then you woke up to reality.
That happened years before. That was like
How many times have you fallen into a campfire?
only twice.
Only twice.
Only twice.
No, I believe it's 3 times.
Hey, don't look at him while you're talking.
twice.
Look at that mic, GMA.
Yeah.
Only twice.
Listen.
This is, folks, this is what it's like all the time with
time.
these two
Well, hold on a
guys.
second. Hold on a second.
Ty.
No. You and Brandon Holby
Yeah, that
fell
was the
into
second time.
Will you let him answer
Ty,
the question?
I'm asking him a question.
I don't even remember the
Yeah,
question.
he's not being honest.
You just need to be quiet and let him answer the question.
All right. I just want honesty. I'm looking for clear.
You just want a different story. I'm asking him a specific question.
The thermal incidents that you are referring to occurred way before this album.
And how many beers did you have, oh boy?
That is a completely different story.
That's mutually exclusive to the discussion, all right? You know,
It was a lot of
man,
beers,
all
folks.
right?
A lot of beers.
This aggression will
2
not
beers.
stand.
I'm going to turn your mic down if you don't let him answer the question.
Yeah. Well, we should just turn it
I
all the
have
way
all
up,
the power
pan it all the way to the
over it.
left.
Oh my God.
Delete it.
I have all the power over
Yeah.
here.
Oh my
So look,
God,
okay, so
right.
you did eventually see like, okay, they're getting serious about this kind of new direction.
Yeah,
and you-
well, and I'd been listening to the stuff that they've been coming up with the whole time. Obviously, I was distracted.
yeah, understandable.
But when it started becoming more of a real thing, like, oh, we've got these tracks,
yeah,
we need to start figuring out stuff for it, and it's like, okay, yeah, let's start working on it. Heck yeah, this is awesome.
So were you guys
Sounds
having
great.
like regular band practices?
Ty
or
and I were here every weekend.
Yeah, we're here every weekend.
But that's not practice, right? You were writing or
We were writing.
composing.
We were writing. We were working on the album. And Ty's not wrong.
Well,
it was an open invitation for GMA to come. But he was.
You're not
I
going
was
to slither
distracted.
out of this.
Well, and
man.
to be fair, it went from me being here every weekend
Oh,
to
absolutely.
me not being here every weekend.
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
He was
overnight.
here every weekend, and then he met Terry, and then he wasn't here every weekend. And Ty took it real hard.
he
I
got
got
a
to-
little-
He
Oh, yeah,
cried.
Ty gets all
cried.
butthurt. He gets
Every
yeah.
weekend, Ty would show up crying, dude.
Yeah.
He's not
He's
here.
my buddy, dude. He's my buddy.
What the hell is he doing with that hussy?
No, I love Terry. No.
He was so jealous of Terry.
I just wanted to rock.
He wanted to rock.
That's all it was. I wanted to rock.
Can't
oh,
hold it
boy.
again.
So event-
How much do you take part in the writing? Is it do you just work on your bass stuff, or do you
It
help him with?
depends. Most of it is done by them. Sometimes I'll come back in and say, no, this bass line is trash, and we just need to trash this and completely redo it.
Yeah.
This
But-
is the way it works. There's usually a really good idea for a bass line.
Written by a lead guitarist.
Written by a lead guitar player, and he goes in there. Listen. No one can play the bass as good as GMA. Let me tell
Yeah,
you
yeah.
something about how
Thank you,
good
thank you,
GMA
thank you.
is. GMA is he could be a one-take pony. He's just very thorough, but really, like, GMA's freaking good at the bass.
Yeah.
Like, and then his timing, he's got better timing than me. Like, he is
got
just
Everyone has better
boom,
timing than
boom,
you.
Boom, Well, I'm not that bad.
Well, that's why he runs on Tie Light Savings Time.
Highlight savings time.
Well, hold on.
It's a scam.
It's a scam.
But
Gene-
yeah, he's right. He's good, and
He's a little clacky.
I laid
Ty and
down
I-
the pavement.
Ty and I write. We on this album we wrote most of the bass lines, but he did have his input. Obviously, we're like, here it is, and in some cases it was like, yeah, you can take it and do with it what you will, and he would like work on it, and then of course, it gets more complicated because drums get added, and that changes rhythms, and then like the song is morphing still.
Yeah.
So like he's put a lot of his style into it, but then there was some parts that we were just like foot down. That has to stay the same because it's key. Like for us, from the writing side, we were like, we got to have that specific thing.
Being in the studio though, like we couldn't just like, oh, here's this riff, here's this melody. Oh yeah. Let's just wait. for G-May to pull his head out of his ass to come over here and record something. So we would always just be like, okay, let's do a bass line.
He acts like he didn't get a wife in the same time period.
I even bought a bass. It's sitting right there. So when you watch Brothers of Serpent podcast, you're looking at my bass, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh,
That is Ty's bass.
Or Cosmographia. No, it would be Cosmographia. See that black bass, that Black Beauty, Japanese, 1994? Badass.
Fender jazz bass.
Yes. That's mine, but it's flat wound.
It's okay.
So no. I've heard differently, oh boy. I heard it's smooth jazz bass. But anyway, so we couldn't help ourselves, and so we just start writing this stuff, and then
That's one of
G-May
the
would
first
come in
things
there
I
and-
do. If I write a guitar part, like the next step is to write a bass line to it. That's just what I do.
Got to. You're here. You can participate in that, or if not, you're not here. You're
Yeah.
screwed. The bass line's gonna get written.
I throw them all at GMA, and at the end of the day, they're better when they're done.
Well, see, here's the thing about GMA. We lay it down, and GMA gets a hold of it, and he just plays it perfectly, and he just takes out all the bullshit. There's a lot of bullshit, especially the ones I write.
Cut the
It's like-
lead lick bullshit.
It's like, what is this? A bendy? 3 bendies?
And 3 bendies in a row. No.
A 3-string
You
bendy?
get 1 bendy
No.
in this one riff. That's all you get is 1 bendy.
But, ladies and gentlemen, I will
And then
say...
Ty in the studio, Ty's like, "Come on, man, I need that slippy slidey." He's telling,
You can't slippy slidey all of it.
"Oh yeah, we want a slippy slidey, all of it."
I want to slippy slide it, and he won't do it. But what he wants to do is he wants to camel walk it. No, actually, more than that. Camel walking, no. He wants to bunny hop it, folks.
He hates the bunny hop.
Yeah.
Bunny hop. Hop, 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 hop. Right? I'm like, I want to slide it. Yeah.
That's way too much slippy slidey right there. You need a little more definition.
He tries to bunny hop it, folks. We had to step in there. I put my flop down.
How many of those terms have you guys come up with? You got bunny hopping and
There's a lot of-
taking it to Meowtown.
Taking it to
Take
me
me out.
Oh,
Okay.
man.
Yeah. If I use my
Ty
whammy
had to
one,
go. Ty had to go back to the studio to take the meow out of 2 different solos in the song.
I had to
'cause
double them up.
GMA wouldn't let him live it down.
To be fair, he didn't actually decrease the amount of meow in the song.
All right, hold on,
He
folks.
just
hold on, folks.
recorded another track.
They don't understand what
with
you're talking
less meow in it.
And then he
To
wants
try
me
and
to combine them.
Cover up the meow in the first track.
No, that's not true.
Well, okay, but you have to explain what the Meow. What
Okay,
is- what
so
is
the
taking
whammy
it
one
to
pedal.
Meowtown?
So in 1990 or 1990, I think it's 1990. They Digitech came out with a whammy pedal. So you could take a note and you could on a pedal like a wall, expression pedal. You could play a note and then push it up and it would bend the note like
Yeah.
An octave
an
or
octave,
2 octaves.
or it would be a harmony or a fifth or
Yeah.
a seventh, a ninth, right? So you can play with it, right?
Nerd
So-
knows the year the pedal came out. Yeah. Give me your lunch money.
Well, hold on. So I got into this because I joined a Radiohead tribute band, and I had to learn all of Johnny Greenwood's
They were
stuff.
fantastic. Best Radiohead tribute
They
band
were
I
really
ever
good.
It was
saw.
pretty good, wasn't it?
It was the best. They were better than Radiohead. It was great.
Wow.
At least they moved around the stage.
Yeah. So we did that, and we worked really hard on that, right? And but I had to learn all this stuff, so I ended up buying all these pedals, right? So I started out, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, Kyle was in GMA and Bymey were in a band with a lead guitar player that had just a monster amount of pedals. I had to buy all these pedals and learn how to do them and all kinds of stuff like that. So the Whammy one, though, was instrumental in that. And I just fell in love with it, especially the original Whammy one, okay? So you can rebuy, or Digitech re-released the Whammy one, but they put their own computer chip in there, and they did it their way. But the original Whammy one was done by a Canadian
He has
company
both.
that was subcontracted out, that did its own chip in it, and it has its artifacts in it. It's pretty awesome. And it's actually less meowy than the new Whammy.
I just want an explanation of the meow. Like we don't.
So
need
so
the,
when I
No, but
turn that
is
pedal
it.
on,
That's it.
Okay.
when I turn that pedal on, it's kind of meowy.
It makes it sound like a mad cat.
Right? Because a lot of times
Okay.
I like the harmony, so it's
Well,
doing
doubling
two.
the octave. So
It
you
doubles
get-
the octave, so yeah, so it kind of comes out meowing. So Jimmy doesn't like that, but it doesn't matter, folks, because when it comes down to it, his camel walkie bass lines are not acceptable.
So what's camel walkie?
Oh, camel walk is this?
Well, look, camel walking. No, camel walking was a compromise. See,
Camel walking was a compromise.
the bunny hopping was
yeah.
unacceptable, and then
Bunny hopping was too far. I
in
took it too far.
No, okay, that's right. That's right.
and where the stories lie, it's very deserty.
Yeah.
Like the song is like, it's deserty.
Kind
Yeah.
of creepy,
And
dark,
so-
deserty.
GMA had this bass line, and I'm like, I dig this. And Ty's like, you're bunny hopping it. And I'm like, no, we're camel walking it. It's totally different.
It's like a camel.
There's no
walking
rabbits in the
across
desert, bro.
Right.
This is camel walk.
So Ty hates, basically what it is for the music people, Ty hates staccato notes on the bass. He hates them.
Even if it matches,
Even if it matches what you're doing, he's like, it needs to be slippy slidey all the time.
all the time.
There's no
slippy
pauses.
slide.
Because we got a drummer. They both feed off each other.
Slipperier
It's like
than a
I'm going to put my
saltwater
hit exactly
eel.
where you hit, and everyone puts their hits exactly the same time, and we hit together. Like, come on, guys. Someone's got to. If you're going to bunny hop, we're going to have that drummer
Whoa,
stick out of the
whoa.
pocket,
Hey,
oh boy. But
we're not here to make the case.
You have to
We're just telling a
understand there's
story.
going to be a
All right,
happy,
all right.
There's going to be a happy medium of everyone is a robot.
point is-
and then some feeling.
Everyone
there's,
is a robot.
but there's going to be a medium of that.
Dealing with bass
'Cause
players, folks.
We got to hold you in line somehow.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you just
The
solo
rhythm
the
section.
rest of the song.
Let me tell you something, folks. The rhythm section gets obsessed of downbeat notes. They want everything, every hit, everything on the downbeat.
That's
Boom,
an
boom, boom. We
overgeneralization.
are on the downbeat. We always play on
I
the
play
downbeat.
upbeats too. I play eighth notes and some 16th notes sometimes.
I know, I'm just kidding,
Maybe
folks.
triplets.
Folks, we're just kidding though. But this is what we're getting.
We
in
trash
there.
each other all the time.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, we
nonstop.
trash. We have these names. What are the names, Kyle, of everything we say?
Oh man,
Oh, Meowtown.
taking it to Meowtown is a major one.
Meowtown.
Every time well,
Can't
wait
walk
till-
rowboating on the vocals.
Rowboat.
Yeah,
Can't
Ty,
rowboat, yeah.
Ty wants me to rowboat the vocals. Can you just be like, and blah, 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 yeah. I was like, what are we fucking rowing across the river, dude? No, I'm gonna
have a
hit
list somewhere. What
the
is that?
note.
What are all the deal? Don't you have a list of this?
I have a list of them.
Kyle's gonna try to pull them up, but yeah, moving on though, Russ. Kyle's gonna try to pull them up, and we'll get.
I
back
love
to
the
that.
terms.
Taking it to Meowtown's a great
Taking
one.
it to
Yeah.
downtown. Saw that. So I had to double up. So a lot of the solos on there was just two meowing because I had the whammy one on, but I wasn't like moving the pedal around. I was just keeping on harmony or sometimes
He just
I would move
leaves the
every now and
pedal
again.
on.
But it just kind of meowy. So I had to double up like on the times,
Yeah.
and where the stories lie. Those two solos, I had to double those up.
Right.
Well,
we couldn't take the meow out.
Well, to
Right.
be fair, you didn't just double.
It was a
them
straight up
up.
guitar tone.
No, it wasn't just a straight up guitar tone. It was a straight up guitar tone recorded in stereo. So for every guitar track you did, you had two guitar tracks.
Well, hold on again. No.
4.
Well, hold on a second, guys.
So it was at least four tracks.
Okay, let's talk about the guitars on how they were recorded. Yes, I had two beautiful Fender amps. I had a Vibro King and also had the Evil Twin. That
Oh, tell him about that evil twin.
Yeah, G-Man's
buddy.
fixed it multiple times. He just fixed it again. It broke again. He fixed it. He's amazing. He's our tech. No, but so that is two amps with two mics on
Yeah,
each
yeah.
amp. So I'm recording 4 tracks for a single
Yeah, for a single take.
for single take,
Yeah.
which drove Kyle crazy.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, it was insane.
But it's solid tone, folks.
'Cause Nick,
that's how you,
you know-
do it. Stereo on the board. There was all stereo
Nick
effects
over
as
at
well.
over at Smith Sonic used the mid-side setup, which is mid-side is a miking technique where you use two different mics. There's specific types of mics, and they're set up in this specific configuration with each other. And so he did mid-side on each amp. Since Ty was doing stereo amps, there were two mics on each amp. So I had 4 tracks. And then Ty's just like, yeah, just pick the best one. I'm
Oh,
like,
right.
I don't want to pick.
Yeah.
Just give me one awesome one. But yeah, I basically had to go, and it was a huge pain in the ass. But anyway, we got it done.
How many
Eventually.
times have you guys recorded these songs that are?
We started with the draft recording, and then the draft recording just kept morphing. We'd get better equipment. We'd add, okay, we got to redo this. This is trash. And so we kept building off of the same project folder for each song. And then when it was finally like we've completed the writing process and we're like, okay, it's time to get the real drums recorded, then we made mixes for Chris, the drummer, and he, in like a week,
Oh, he slammed him out.
he knocked them out. He was there like 8 hours a day, knocked them all out, took a week off from work, and just did the whole album in 1 week. He eventually had to redo a couple of songs, but those became our new project folders, right? So we had built all this stuff, and then we gave him just a stereo mix of the songs with no drums, and then he recorded all the drums to them, and that became our new project folder. And we started
starting point.
That was basically our starting point. That was 2 years ago.
Starting point
Right.
for what's being published now.
For what's being
Right,
published now.
right.
So then
It was the foundation for all the timing, everything else to.
because he put his own flair on everything, and then he's like, hey, I really like this, this little lick that Ty does on the solo. I like the rhythm of it. So he would like accent that rhythm, and it was like, well, we got to change, the guitars to match, like because it would clash. So it was like, all right, well, we got to redo that. So then for a lot of the songs, we were able to pull some of the original, what we call the draft recordings. We were able to pull some of those tracks over and use them. Some of them just had, that they just had that magic. There was like some tracks that was like, this is magic. However it happened, it's beautiful. And there's no way you're going to recreate that.
Some wild notes.
And we would just take
afterwards.
it and it was like, we're putting it in there. And I mean, with Epoch, that intro guitar riff was recorded on Ty's iPad.
Oh yeah.
And it was years ago, and we were just like this. We re-recorded it with great mics and all this stuff, and it was just like, no, it did, like, I love
just
that
sounded good degraded.
sound, that weird sound
terrible
that
mic.
the iPad
Sounds
mic
like you
picked
guys
up.
were married to it.
We totally got
is
married to it. That's
another
another
term.
term.
Got
Well, we
married
tried
to
to record. We tried to re-record
That is
it
another
so
term,
many
being
times.
married,
Just
yeah.
like it's just
That term-
got this sound, and that's the way it is.
That's right. That term "married" became a major factor in this album because it was like when it came time to change something, inevitably somebody would start crying.
Yeah.
Well, you're married to it. Quit being married to it.
And so we'd start accusing them of getting married.
Yeah.
They got married to that.
You get married to that
It's
old
like,
version.
I just
You get a
came up with
divorce.
something genius and you don't like it because you're married to the old shitty version.
That's right.
Well, see, that's another hard thing. Like when you have an album that starts out that way. We started in 2016, just started writing some of these songs, and then we started in, I think it was July 2019, is in Smithsonic Studios. That's when we did the first drum takes, and then from there we started doing the whole album. So we did the drums. After the drums, did we do the bass after the drums? I think you came and did the bass, and then I went
Archer
in there.
started his bass
Yeah, we
track.
started
And then
doing the
that
bass
was a
after the
weekend
drums.
deal. Archer's working full time. And then he would come down on the weekends.
I'd come down Friday and we just work all weekend.
And we work
just
all weekend long,
slamming shit
all
out,
day,
yeah.
both days, and a lot of times we'd have to redo stuff. It's like because he was also, it's like he was learning the riffs, and then he would come
Revising
and
them and
he would come and lay down, and then we'd critique it, and I mean this was the process the whole time, and that's why You Can't Get Married was like that was a major part of the mindset of this album from the beginning, because we started trashing each other, using it as a slur, but it actually, like, I remember Ty and I both kind of like had our own moments of being totally married to something and then having to give it up.
being told you're married to something.
And then later, you're getting slammed for being married, and then you finally
God, I am married. Damn it.
and then later, when you give yourself some time, you're like, they're right. This
Yeah.
is genius,
Yeah.
and it is better,
Yeah.
and this is awesome.
Yeah.
But if you take that, just that initial shock of like this change and you throw it out, you don't really get to explore in the creative process. So it became a big factor for us. And so then we were like priding ourselves on how not married we were. Oh no, bro, I got those divvy papers.
Dude, I ain't married, bro. No, you don't like it, I ain't married.
It's really interesting though with this album. So like Kings and Thieves, practice, rehearse. That took a while though because we really didn't know what we were doing for recording it. But I would say Prisoner EP, like we knocked that out in 3 days.
Yeah.
And I think All the Miles a little sooner than that because we rehearsed as a band and we came in the studio prepared, ready to go, boom, 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 knocked
It was
it out.
fully written, ready to go.
Well,
Everybody knew their part.
this was definitely written as it goes.
It was written in the studio.
Yeah.
It was altered time and time again.
Deos was 12 minutes long, and then we had to go in there,
Yeah.
like, okay, where do we?
You gotta trim it.
We gotta
Trim it
trim
down to
this
5
thing,
minutes.
and there is a version out there somewhere in our hard drives of a 12-minute version of that song. I went into the studio, and it was like Deos. It was probably around 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock, in the morning, and just like, well, screw it, dude. Just lay down. I turned every single amp up, bro. I turned them all up. Did you know this?
I remember when you were doing that.
I
yeah.
turned in
yeah.
almost
yeah.
every preamp pedal I had on my board, everything.
Yeah, you had
And it
this
was
thing
just like,
cranked up. In
I didn't know what to do
phone
with
box.
it.
Yeah.
And it was 12 minutes long, and it's like, just jam. And that's where that thing came out.
That's where you get all those sweet distortion tones. Yeah, you had all the feedback.
I just cranked it up, and I was
No, that's
hoping
great.
that Nick's house is next to his studio. I'm like, please don't wake up because I turned all the amps all the way maxed out, and y'all left me in alone.
There was
in
a
the studio.
couple of nights, yeah, where like you did the same thing with Solace.
Solace, yeah.
He just like worked on this, because he actually had written this whole part for Solace, and I just trashed it. I'm like, no, it's no good.
He hated it.
I don't want any of this. I mean, it's like you had to be. We were ruthless with each other, absolutely ruthless with stuff, because you'd create something and you'd love it, and you're like, yeah, this is great, and then they're like, no. And the other mindset was like, if Ty wrote the song, I ultimately was going to relent to his. It's like he was the mastermind behind the song.
Deals were made.
And so it was like we'd argue about it, but at the end of the day, I'm like, all right, it's your song. I'll trash it. And this happened back and forth. If I wrote the song, so we developed a couple of mindsets that we never really had when we were jamming as a full band in the practice studio. When we'd bring a song to the table, it was just kind of like, it would turn into what it was, and that was just kind of it. There was nobody had an iron fist. It was just like, no, you're going to play it this way. But we developed that with each other, where we drew a hard line. It's like, this is what I want.
Yeah,
for this song.
We struck a new deal though.
We struck a new deal with each other on the writing, and it was like, all right, fair enough. That's cool. Well, we followed each other on each other's material until the other person was like blown away. When they showed up in the studio to listen and then their socks were gone,
Yeah.
you're good.
That really was the way it was though, because it was like we finally said, screw, like I was talking about earlier in the first segment. It's like, Dynasty when it first started out, it's like, oh well, we had these rules for songs. It's like, it's got to be this way, it's got to be that way, it's got to be this long, it's got to have a verse, chorus, whatever. Where this album, we're like,
Yeah, it fits a standard template. Like,
yeah. We got rid of the standard template
Yeah.
for this, but then at the same time, we were writing it, as we went.
Yeah.
So it took so much longer. This album took so long because we didn't, for the bass player and the drummer checked out.
Whoa.
So and then, hold on a second, boy.
As soon as it started blowing my socks off, it was like, okay,
But
now they need my help.
I remember. No, but that we kind of made that role.
And then you brought the doo-doo.
You started doing doo-doo on the bass.
That's another. I'm looking at the list of terms.
Yeah, what's the
here.
list of terms?
What's the list?
Doo-doo is a great one. That's the bass line. The doo-doo.
Oh, yeah.
So
You gotta bring the doo-doo, bro.
Dude, doo-doo town. Bro.
and then the other one, this is another good one, is Land the Mothership.
Oh, yeah.
That's he lands lands the mothership.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, no,
landing the mothership.
that's a good
Mothership.
pedal. That is the Space Echo.
Station.
No, that's
Oh,
not. That's
that's
Space
Space-
Echo.
that's Space
And you
Echo.
can hold it down. It simulates a roll-in tape delay, but you can hold it out, and it'll spin it out, and
Basically,
Yeah. And it
basically
sounds
what
like
they used for the Jetsons.
Yeah. And so we call that landing the mothership.
Land in the mothership.
land in my.
So yeah, we got Captain Cool.
Oh yeah.
Captain Cool.
I remember Captain Cool.
We
Wow.
started calling Ty Captain Cool because
he was like in charge. Well, that's not cool, bro.
He always knew what was cool in a song and what wasn't. So he was like,
yeah. So Captain.
Well, here's the
I just-
artwork.
I just-
It was artwork. It was artwork, though.
No,
Y'all come up with artwork.
It
I'm
wasn't
like,
just
eh.
artwork. I would lay down a track and me and Kyle would be like, all right, well, let's see
See
what
what old
Captain Cool
Captain Cool
this
thinks
week.
of this.
And we'll come back.
So we got Meowtown, Turkey Calling. I don't remember that one too much.
That's you, buddy.
Pony trotting, bunny hopping, rowboating, married, slippy slidey, doo doo, land the mothership, drummer boy, whales. You
Yes,
remember the whales?
I remember the whales.
Volume
Yeah.
swells.
And then yodeling, chord swap trick. That's a big one.
Yeah, chord swap trick.
That's a huge
And
part.
crybaby. If you can't handle it, you were just everybody was a crybaby.
yeah.
Oh, don't be a crybaby.
Yeah.
You got to be tough to be in this band, folks. You got to be really
You gotta
tough.
have some
get
thick
really
snake skin.
Like you
to be
can't
in
just
it.
join
Yeah,
this
yeah.
band. You can't join this band and just be thin-skinned.
You're gonna you gotta learn to take your Sierra better. There.
yeah.
No, but I want to go back to this one point that I think Russ was talking about. It's like when was it? When was it like you figured it out? Like I think it was This Is War. I think when we figured it out, Kyle did his deal. He wrote it and he did a half of a song on This Is War. And it was like, oh, that's it. That's the way it is. Like, no, bro, I got this bridge. I got this
everything but the
idea.
bridge.
Let me just show you what I want to do for this. You know, I mean, he stole my riff and wrote the song. It's like, and then he went to sleep, and then I laid down the bass and this new guitar part and extended it, and he came out there. It's like 7 a.m. He's all
That was
sleepy-eyed. Listen to this. And like you open up the studio and this pile of smoke comes out. I'm sitting there like, dude, listen to this. And I played it for him, and Kyle was just like,
Yeah, it blew my mind.
he was just like, holy shit.
Awesome. All right, let's
do
take a break. We'll come back for the final segment here.
All right.
And
shit.
I do have more questions. We'll get into like actually the next part of the recording of the
Oh,
album.
we're just playing it by ear right now.
Cool, man.
Like,
Sounds good.
let's do it.
Snakes.
Snakes!
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, in the final segment of the final hour of this special rock and roll sode of Brothers of the Serpent podcast. And yeah, we've been having a great time in here, drinking a bunch of beers, smoking smokes,
Yep.
just like
It's the smoke-filled back room.
this is we're basically doing the 3 ingredients of rock and roll.
Oh yeah, beers.
That's the other thing.
Smokes.
And rock and roll.
Those are the 3 ingredients, ladies and gentlemen. Right. So you guys mentioned you recorded a bunch of times, you did drafts, and then eventually you went over to Nick's studio and you did some stuff, and then you sent off to the drummer, and then he like laid it all down in a week, and then you used that as the basis for everything you stacked on top of it later. And you said GMA went next, right? You
Yeah.
came in next and recorded. So
So it's like
what was after that?
The rhythm section comes first, right? You get the drums, then he did the bass, and all this time they're basically playing to Ty and I's draft recordings.
Yeah.
So after that, Ty went in to Nick's studio over at Smith Sonic, which is basically across the river from here.
1 month. A month.
He took a month, and you didn't do it all in. You just did weekends, right? Did a couple of 3-day,
days.
4-day
Get up on
weekends.
that mic, buddy.
So he recorded his guitars.
I did 12 days. 12 days out of that month.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was there for all of this, folks.
He loved it.
I loved every
And then
minute
after
of it.
like a month or whatever, I was like, that part's messed up. So then there was I came back for a couple days here and there.
Yeah, yeah.
So I probably did about 15 to 18 days.
Yeah.
And so you're recording what? What would you like solos plus?
Yeah, rhythm solos. I didn't do any vocals, so
You did later. but-
It was all guitars
I did a
over
few
guitars.
later. But really, a lot of the vocals and all the vocal stuff happened here.
Right here.
Yeah. We'll get
Tangent Cube of Science, but it was 2 amps, double mic'd, so 4 tracks at a time, and then of course the board, my pedal board. I had 2 pedal boards actually, and they were I would swap out in between them. So I would do a song with this one pedal board, and I'm like, I need this other pedal board, and I would swap out, and it's all stereo tracks.
Yeah.
Going out.
I have to say, it was masterfully done. I was so skeptical in the beginning. I'm like, oh my God, stereo amps and then mid-side and all this. But the product at the end of the day, like, they are the cleanest, like, beautiful sounds that just, I mean, there's like the signal to noise ratio for those of you who are into this type of thing. It's like it's perfect silence, and then boom, this like crystal clear, just beautiful stereo sound with these effects. That Ty's spent a lot of time building these pedal boards of his with like really high end pedals. I don't understand any of it. It's just I was just blown away by the quality of sound that came out of Smith Sonic.
We don't
and
really
Nick and,
know how that happened.
It's
though.
so awesome
because
well,
normally
I think Nick does.
When you
like,
crank
Nick
up,
knows how
but
that happens.
Here's the thing: it's just wild. When you crank up a tube amp, and you just
they're
boost
noisy.
it's so noisy, and for some reason, well, it's not for some reason, but me and Nick kept like moving the circuit around and like try this circuit.
Oh,
try
I
this
remember when you
circuit.
called me. You
And
called me
they
got
one
it to
day,
where
you're
it's just
we're
like-
getting this weird buzzing thing
And then
going on.
we were doing them with ground lifts and all kinds of stuff. And eventually we got it to where both amps were cranked up all the way with a pedal board and a guitar, cables and everything. And it was dead silence until you hit a note. And it was boom. And it was just like,
It was
how did this
amazing.
happen? I don't know how it happened, folks.
Well, y'all
But
did a
Smithsonian
fantastic
Studios knows what it's doing. I'm plugging in my boy,
Yeah.
Old Wild Style.
Nick's done a lot of research. He's still doing research. He's just,
But
you
it-
know, he's
it-
always
it was-
studying like methods. He studies methods of all these awesome, like very
So, yeah.
successful engineers and styles and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah. And he's let me talk about
developed
Nick.
his craft.
Yeah, he's very serious about his craft, but his studio is very laid out. Very, it's a massive. It's a
simple.
control room and it's very simple. This is a live room, high ceilings and everything like that. We actually did help him design those plugs. I believed I wired in all those plugs. And that is why it works so well.
No, I think you just did the center blocks.
No, but it's fantastic. But it is actually incredible how it sounds. It was very surprising. And I remember I didn't even realize how good it was till I came back to the studio here after the tracks were done. And Kyle was just like, listen to this. And he showed me, it's like, this is before you played a note. And we're listening like, I don't hear it.
You don't hear it.
It's like,
It's so
and then all of a
clean.
sudden,
Amazing.
yeah, it's incredible.
And you know, with the stereo, it's like we ended up keeping almost every track of his like center. Normally, I'm big with panning. I move things to the right speaker, I move things to the left speaker, but almost all of Ty's stereo amped tracks are just dead center. There's a few here and there that are tweaked a little bit to the left or to the right side, but the blend of those two amps and the effects, right? The effects pedals that he have stereo outputs. So if he has a reverb, it puts you in that room. You know, it's got the left side and the right side, so it's processing it for stereo. And so one side of that stereo is going to one amp, and the other side is going to the other amp. And so what I would do is hard pan the two amps.
Yeah.
So one amp is in the left, one amp is all the way in the right. And it's just the blend that it creates is just, man, this is awesome. So we really preserved that.
We learned a lot about that, though. It's like with signal chain and positioning of pedals and certain pedals. So it's like the boards are designed for the preamps in the front and the modulation in the back, of course. But the cables themselves have to be the same length.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
When I'm going stereo out. If I'm
Nick
going
is
to
very serious about that. Like all the mic cables, everything were all the same length
and then
coming
stereo
from each amp.
cables,
So it's
Yeah.
like there's no phasing.
every
It's
amp
just beautiful.
every amp is the same length of cable and stuff. So like, let me tell you
The
something.
speed of light is not infinite.
But like going on
That's
to
what
it,
I
like,
was saying. I'm like, dude, you're talking about the speed of light, and you're like, you don't want to use a cable that's like a foot shorter.
No, man, that will cause a delay.
Yeah, that's right.
In the arrival of
That'll
the
cause a
left-handed
delay.
signal.
Yeah.
So no,
A detectable delay.
Nick does not care about what the speed of light is. He's like, we're going to get this right.
Yeah.
And it's like, he's so meticulous about these types of things. And I just, you know, I have to say that it's a beautiful product.
Well, the thing
So-
about the album, though, really, is what I'm most proud of. I think is the fact that we went so analog with gear and tubes and
Yes.
and it's just no digital BS. Everything's played. There's maybe
Well, the Mellotron was fake.
the Mellotron. No, don't worry about
But
that.
on the
folks.
other
and
hand,
the Eru.
on the other hand, you guys were
Whoa, easy, oh boy. But listen, no. The album, there was such care for us. Like, hey, listen, like we're not phoning in this album. This is why this album was very expensive, and it's expensive because when you record something through high end gear, it just gets expensive. Like you can be in your house, whatever, just record stuff, blah blah blah. We didn't do that though, folks. Like it is high end analog tube gear, mics and everything,
Transformers, all that stuff.
all high end stuff. GMA's over here
And then-
constantly fixing the amps and the pedals.
And we had programmed strings in the songs, and it was like, well, let's get the real string players to do this, and that was a job.
yeah.
Right.
Golly.
And we had to turn all of these programmed strings into music, and we found out very quickly from our friend here, Frank, who came over. He's a
We didn't know what the hell
cellist.
we were doing.
Is that how you say it? Cellist?
Yeah.
I'm not
Cellist.
good with
like
the
a
terms.
cellist. Yeah, he's a cello player. So,
So
he's a
he
cellist.
comes over. He's looking at the music, the sheet music that we created. He's like, "This is like
This
a
notation's all
disaster."
wrong, yeah.
So he kind of showed us the ropes. Like, here's how you actually do it properly.
Yeah.
To get it in the right keys for the various
Folks-
instruments. And so Frank helped us out there, and then we spent all this time getting these real. Everything is acoustic and real, and
you
going through
can't
this analog gear.
convert. you can't take your MIDI file. Like if you're like
of
people that are
course.
listening that
I've
are
seen it.
in
I've
music,
seen the sheet music
You can't
that
take
gets
your
created to
music
it.
files
It's
like
awful.
convert to sheet music. Done. Oh, here, just get it to the guy. He's
No.
gonna play it
Hey,
exactly
but
what
old G man, no problem reading that.
That's right.
No.
Yeah. Well, Archer is a little different.
It's just
now that's
like-
the thing about the string players is that they're
like,
they're
what are these
used
flats?
They're used to that.
they're
perfect sheet
trained
music.
in like symphonies and stuff,
Yeah.
which do everything to a T. You know,
But they
meticulously
write
done,
it-
and we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah.
So that was a job.
Well, it'd be like if you were on a guitar and be like, "Hey, you need to tune this guitar down to this weird key, and then play this song." And so they're looking at this sheet music and just be like, "What the hell is this? Like,
Yeah.
it needs to be in this key. It needs to have like not these many sharps or not these many flats, whatever. It's got to be this way written." And you don't know that as a guitar player. It's just
Yeah.
like, "Hey, we wrote this on MIDI, and like we need you to play it," and they're like laughing at us.
Well,
But
but at the end of the day, a G sharp or an A flat is the same.
They don't like that. They
I
don't like that.
But listen,
they should be able to
but
play
as a
it.
guitar player,
Come on.
listen. Tell me a guitar player. Right? When I look at a guitar player, like I've taught lessons for a long time. I'd say, "Hey, play me a G flat." They're gonna look at you like you're stupid.
Yeah.
Because in guitar, there's no G flat. There's F sharp.
But
Yeah.
there is an E flat. What?
There's F sharp. No,
Yeah,
it's just
it's
weird.
just-
There's-
this
there's
is
no-
just
but the same thing
convention.
applies to strings. Like
but
there's
in keys, you
yeah,
either reference
but you're a
everything in
trumpet
sharp,
player.
This
or
is
you
the way it is,
reference
guys.
Listen,
everything in
you're a
flat.
trumpet player, though.
But no.
Here
but
we go with the lead
that's
guitarist and the
regardless
You
of-
bassist.
guys are just ridiculous. you know?
That's completely regardless of the discussion. But if you're looking at keys, either your key
But I'm
signature
telling
is
you,
all
they
flats
didn't
or it's
like
all
it.
sharps. Am I
Yeah.
I
That's
right?
true.
Right.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
It's
I'm-
either all flats or all sharps.
Yes, it is. But they listen.
And they don't like
They-
when you
there's
mix
certain
flats
things-
and
They,
sharps.
that's right. They
Yes.
have
They
conventions.
They
don't
have
like it.
conventions
Yeah.
that they like to stick
They
to.
don't
and
like
they
it.
and
like
that's what
having to
allows them to like
convert from a
sight
flat.
read.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
The point is,
That's a
I know.
bunch of
Yeah.
bullshit.
no. The
well,
point
hold
is,
on a second, old boy. Now listen.
the point is, guys,
The best sight reader in that band.
we're paying for their time.
Yeah.
And they learn the fastest when it's done in the way that they're familiar with. It's so simple. I don't
Yeah.
know why you guys are arguing, but
No, they're arguing.
I don't
because
even
that's
know.
what
I
makes
think
We
we're just
love to
arguing.
argue.
No, we just like to argue. We're just arguing to argue. Sorry about that.
so we came back and we made it the way they wanted it, and they nailed it. We found some great players, and they they're giving each other's high fives.
High five. folks.
They really nailed it, and they're also gonna play live shows with us when we eventually.
Yeah,
Get
that's
to
going to
that
be
point.
awesome. Yeah.
So yeah,
So Ty laid down his parts. Then what? You did your stuff?
I was doing my stuff all along, pretty much.
Oh, okay.
But the vocals were
And you did those here.
kind of a developing process. But yeah, I basically had to. There was a few things I had to sort of patch
The
up at the
vocals
end.
started in the beginning and
Well, you
just
did 'em like
morphed
5
all the way
times. You had to
through.
redo
Like
them
no,
yeah.
5
it's
times.
constant. Like the vocals were just all the way from
Well,
the
the
very
words were-
beginning.
the words were
all the way-
changing
yeah,
throughout
all
the entire
kinds
thing.
of
Words
things,
were
melodies. It's just like, oh man, I was stuffed up that day. I was singing like this.
And I was trying different equipment,
then-
different mics and stuff. It was like, yeah,
Kyle's very critical. It was a lot of vocal stuff.
extremely critical. And then after, like, yeah, so I'm basically like, I'm there when Byman's recording his drums. I'm there when Archer's recording his bass. I'm there when Ty's recording his guitars. And I'm there when I'm recording my vocals and my guitars and my keyboards.
You did your vocals at Nick's?
No, I did them here.
Okay. Yeah.
And he's
I'm
totally
just saying,
sick of hearing all
I'm
of it
there
all the time.
for
For
all
everything.
of it.
Yeah.
And then
Everything that was fixed on the album was done in the Tangent Cube.
yeah, I
side,
need, yeah. The Tangent Cube is where where I did all the editing and just like Ty and I like once it was all recorded, Ty and I would come in here and
It's a couple months
like
of doing that.
analyze stuff. It's like, okay, this transition is just like it's falling flat, like it's just no good. And so we would, just,
Re-record
Ty'd
Jimmy's
come up with
baseline.
some idea, dude. What if it did all this crazy awesome stuff that will take you for days to do?
Yeah, no.
I'm like,
But,
all right.
the
And then
best thing we ever did was Where the Stories Lie.
Yeah, the outro.
Because it
where
was
the
like,
story's
hey man, have you ever thought about like keeping the song going? Like, but we'll slowly, like while it progresses, we'll just like slow the tempo down slowly.
Oh yeah,
man. Have you ever thought about that?
It has this
man?
really slow retardation.
Yes, big time.
Retardendo.
But that was one of these things we do in the studio. Actually, we just started tripping stuff out though. Like
that's what I'm talking about. We would edit these transitions and like figure out ways. It totally changed the times. It's like there was a transition in the times. It was like, this is not good. Just cut all the instruments out and record a Rhodes piano and then sing some choir stuff.
Or like you would reverse stuff.
And it just like made it the song just like gained like life from that transition. You know, that separated the song into like two pieces. That
But
just,
yeah,
like,
we would do a lot of the like. We're definitely designing this album for stoners. Let's just be honest, folks. like the beginning of Eternum. Beyond Smoke's technologies, they are the best. Always partake in beers and smokes. So like we're reversing the vocals, but that's how it sounds. That's what those are the real lyrics, boys. No, but like doing tripped out stuff. Like we would sit in here and be like, let's just mess with this one little part here and there. And like, if you listen to the album, like you're going to start hearing that, folks. Just this weird little thing. Like, what the hell is that? That's me and Kyle. Like
staying up all night.
6 months of 6 months.
Well, and then we had
just messing
basically
with it.
gotten a bunch of stuff done, and we realized that the tracks that we had started with, I think we had done the bass direct in through the Neve. Through the road.
Yeah.
And we realized that those first, like, 4 tracks that we had done didn't sound nearly as good as the ones we had done afterwards.
Yeah, because
with the Neve.
that was a developing process. And
Yeah.
we were like, oh, we got Chris gave us this Neve direct input.
Well, we messed with the Neve, and then we messed with the Sans amp. and
Yeah,
then
we tried
messed
all
with
kinds of stuff.
The Rode, and
So we
started with the Rode, I think.
Right.
Well-
And one of the other things this was one of my things that I was really going for was, I don't know what the word is. Like we wanted it to be very consistent, right? Ty's guitars were very consistent. The drums were very consistent. My vocals were all over the place. Different mics, different days, you know. My guitars were all over the place. Like I'd have an amp in there recording with a certain tone, and then like we'd go practice, we'd do all this stuff, and then like some other day when
change.
I'd throw it in there again and mic it again, it would sound different. It was like I had like a lot of lack of consistency. Archer's bass was a developing process over weekend after weekend. It's like, you know, let's like we're working on like getting these tones better. And then near the end, it's like these tones are sounding really great. And then we're listening to the old stuff and we're like, oh, this is not great. So let's go back and do those again with the new tones we have.
Yeah.
Let's not forget Russ. Like coming down here with the djembe, all the djembe, and then all the
vocals.
All the
backup,
harmony vocals.
The harmony
Yeah, how was
vocals.
that? I bet that was a pain in the
tons
ass.
of tell
Now
us,
we get
tell
to
us,
interview
tell
you.
us your experience, Russ, of
was it
recording with the band.
Well, for me, this was it was the first time I've done this where I had to sit down and learn the part that I was supposed to do right before I was going to record it.
So you're a studio instrumentalist at that point.
Yeah. Like before, when we've done these recordings, I've always kind of, you know, we've performed the songs, whatever, you know, you kind of have practiced or whatever. But this was just like, Kyle's like, okay, I've got the, you know, I've got my vocals done and the harmonies are ready. And so I'd come down here and I would mute everything except for like maybe one of the background guitars and something else. And then I would just listen to this piece, the first piece. And I would, you know, of the harmony part of the first line of the verse. And then I would learn the notes and then I would sing it. And then I would do the next piece. And then I would do the next piece.
Yeah, he really like put it together like that.
Not every song. I didn't have to do that with every song. Some of them we have performed, like Castaway. I could do most of it, but Kyle was like, you know, he called me down and be like, okay, I changed like a whole bunch of stuff in the harmonies. I'm like,
You
God
gotta
damn it,
come
I've been singing
re-record it."
this for 5 years.
And you changed
I know
3
it.
notes.
I know it perfectly.
Castaway, dude, especially.
And so then I'm in here, and I'd come out and I'd be like, okay, I got that recorded, and Kyle would go in and he'd be like, no, that's not what it's supposed to do. God damn it.
Yeah, it was so hard for me to be ruthless with Russ like I was with you guys. I would feel so bad. I'd come back in here and I'm like, well, like I need you to redo this word.
Yeah.
And that word, and that note's not quite right.
Yeah, which is good. Like I didn't have a problem with it. I always tried to,
You did great.
Try to keep a positive face on it because it is, it's like you come in here and like it's one thing. I don't know. To me, playing the djembe or a guitar or whatever, it's like yeah, okay, I screwed that part up. I'll redo it or whatever. But when you're singing, there's something. It's different.
There's a mental aspect to it.
Yeah. And so you come out and like I'm sitting there and I'm like, I know that I need to redo that one part, but I'll tell Kyle, like, go in there and check it out because I know that he needs to hear it because he'll tell me that there's other stuff too.
Yeah. That you're not hearing.
But I know in my head, like I knew, I'd come out and be like, yeah, it wasn't that great. That part wasn't that good or whatever.
But
and sometimes I'd tell him, I'd be like, yeah, so go ahead and listen to it. Like, I think I screwed up the second chorus or whatever, but tell me if this isn't going in the direction you want or whatever.
But you are a world-class djembe player, and I will watch your balls on this though. Like he knows what he's doing.
Well,
he's just not banging on it.
djembe.
He's like, you should see how bloody his hands are, folks. Like after playing.
Now he tapes them up.
He tapes them up.
I tape
yeah,
them
they're all
up.
They
taped up
still get
now.
bloody sometimes.
They do, yeah. I get blood blisters under the tape. Yeah.
Like easy breezy on that djembe, man. Solid.
Playing the djembe parts was easy, but when you're doing the vocals, it's like that's what 90% of the people who are going to listen to the music are going to be listening to. So
That's
it's
not
like
important.
What's that?
Vocals.
They're not important.
They're not important.
Nobody
What do you want to
listens to
listen to?
No one
vocals.
listens to the
No one
You want
listens
a
to vocals.
good, loud, meowy guitar, folks.
At least that's how I look at it. It's like, and it's like that Kyle's got his melody in there and it's like been perfected. And so I'm trying to like sort of match that. And I'm just not as good a vocalist as Kyle is. So,
Oh yeah, me too. I'd always come in there and be like, "Kyle, now listen, it's a solid melody, but we need this last part, like the times, end of the times, to get." So come on, buddy. How about something like that? It's like,
Dude, I got so mad at Ty
I'm just
one
kidding.
time
I'm just being dramatic about that though.
about the times.
But I had this little melody for it. Dude.
We got in a huge fight over the times, dude, and I chewed his ass and then like stormed out of here.
oh yeah.
I had to come back like 30 minutes later. I'm like, I'm sorry, bro. I got so mad. He's trying to get me to do
Changing my
There was weekends where Kyle was just so infuriated with recording. He's just done with it.
Yeah, it was a struggle.
Like completely done with it.
Yeah.
It's like I'm just in here to just get this process done. Let me just hit the button and walk out.
The funniest thing though is like, hey, have you tried this melody? It's like it's a fifth or it's a third. It was like I've tried 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've tried them all.
Yeah.
I've tried every single melody. Like, do not tell me.
Don't roll in here like a noob.
Don't tell me. Have you
tell
tried
me to try
this?
out melody number 2.
Yeah.
You turned it off and on again.
Don't. Yeah.
That's right.
Like I've tried all voicings out.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. But this one's like, but are you sure, Betty?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Listen to this again.
Yeah, there was
So with Epoch, Ty had written these original lyrics, and he sung them in his
iPad.
His iPad. I'm in an apartment room with some
Alone.
other people around, and so I'm gonna be like, she's the only one.
That's right.
She's the only one. And then it's free to choose, yeah. And I'm just like, so he gets in the studio and he's like, you got to sing all that. And I'm like, no. You're going to sing that.
Yeah.
You're singing that.
And so he gets up there and he's
shit.
like trying to do it. I make him stand up and then I'm like, belt it out. Like scream it.
No. Let me use my inner voice.
So, but he finally does, dude. And he sings that background part. Free to choose, but he's like belting it out, and it's way too high for me. I can't sing it, and I was just like, gold.
Yeah.
And that was a long time ago. And I've saved that track, and he's wanting me to redo it. He's like, you got to redo that track. And I'm like, nope. So Russ comes down, and I'm like, you're going to sing this track with Ty.
Yeah.
And so Russ doubled it up, and like he mimicked your vocal sound. And it's like when they blend together, it sounds like, I don't know. I was just,
Well, it
I
sounds
love
like
the sound
the
of it.
Police. What is it?
It does. Sounds like a
yeah.
little sting there.
It straight up reminds me of
It's like
Sting.
Like
dude.
you and me, with all vocals combined, we sound like Steve.
I love it so much. It's like I just love that part, and the sound of it is so
I thought
unique
it was
to
funny
me. And I was,
when Russ recorded though. I was like, "How? What do you think about that part? Was it easy?" He's like, "No,
no, he
It's
like
you have to scream that thing." I was like, "Yeah, it's."
Well, the hard part was mimicking your what you were doing.
Rowboating?
Yeah, the rowboating. Yeah.
Rowboat, folks.
And like,
He's a
since you would creep up on those notes, and I was supposed to sing it with, like, I wasn't replacing the vocals, I was doing it with you. I had to creep up exactly the same as you, or it sounded like crap.
And now you're a better singer.
Yeah, that's right.
well, you guys nailed it.
You
I
owe
love
it all
absolutely.
to Ty.
There are just those moments, throughout the process where, like I was saying earlier, like that magic happens, and that is one of the most gratifying things when you have this piece and you're just like, this is epic, and you want, and that's kind of the part of the aspects that morph the songs into what they ultimately become, because somebody does something, the magic happens, and that becomes the focus, and you're like, we really have to like feature this, like the song needs to like become more of that. And so in a lot of cases, like it would blossom into this thing because of some simple,
Someone did something.
someone did something and some magic happened, and it just really drove the ultimate destination of that song. And those are the gratifying things when you can really just like, at the end of the day, you look back at it and it's just like, dude,
Yeah, for me, like the end of "This Is War," that chant that we put in there.
Oh, yeah.
like you added it, and I was like, dude, this is awesome, right? And then I'm like, I want to record like 4 of these. And so I'm like, and of course, Kyle would give me leeway. He would be like, what song you want to work on? And I'm like, let's work on "This Is War," and then he would just leave. Right.
Have fun, oh boy.
Yeah.
Here's the
Get
start
him
button.
set up.
Here's the
Make
stop
sure the
button.
sound's good, and then once
Yeah,
you
because
got
I can
started,
run
go.
the recording or whatever, and so I'd just sit in here and and that helped, because like there's no one around, and I know you guys know this, but there's no one around, and I'm in here, there's no windows or whatever. Time doesn't matter, and I'm like, I play the part and I listen to it, and I sing it a bunch of times, and I sing it into the mic, listen to it in the headphones, and then I try recording it, and then I record it again and again and again.
That's exactly how I do my bass line.
Yeah. I record it again and again and again. And I get
Tell
one.
these guys to fuck off and let me chill
Get the hell
for a
out of here.
while.
Yeah, and then I get one, and I'm like, okay, that sounds good. And I got to the end, and I'm hearing that like chant, and I'm like, dude, this is awesome. And so I tried multiple things on that. I'm like, oh yeah, I want this to sound like a bunch of monks like marching, like walking in the cathedral, singing all those God names, dude. So I tried multiple ways of doing it. Like I sang it kind of like Kyle did, and then I also tried to do the give it the
Yeah.
hey, and just I don't know, that stuff's fun.
Yeah. And it's
and
cool
then
because
I can just leave. I can come out and I can tell Kyle, okay, I did a bunch of stuff, just whatever you want. And of course he's like, God damn it, just give me
Then
the
we crack the door, hit play,
yeah,
and say,
yeah. Don't
Get-
give me 16 tracks.
get back in there, try it again. Yeah.
No, I'm just like, in some cases I did the same thing as Ty. Like, Kyle just wants one good vocal track, and I'm like, well, I did like 40, and you can just find the one you like.
yeah, Archer did the same thing.
I'll do
But
a bunch of bass tracks, and then we'll find what we like.
I don't like it because it's more work for me. But at the end of the day, there were times when it's like you don't hear everything. It's impossible to hear.
Yeah, yeah.
everything. And then
burn
one
out.
day you hear it.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's not right. And then I have like a giant selection of tracks I can go dig through and find one that's like, oh, okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Fixed.
Yeah.
So that was cool. And then going back to the vocals thing, it's like it was great getting all the different vocals in here. I mean, I had the Stash.
Yeah.
Dad came down here and did some parts, and it's like when I'm listening to Wake of the Sun and his vocals come in, he has this very unique voice.
Yeah.
And it's like I can hear it blended in there. I try to. It's impossible to like show somebody.
Here's like gravelly Stash voice.
Yeah, it's impossible to show somebody and say like, "Oh, that's Stash," because it's a bunch of people. It's Russ, it's me, it's Stash, all singing together. But it adds that element that gives it like breadth. It gives it.
It sounds like a bunch of people, which is the point.
It gives it age.
Yeah, and
too.
then Ty got
gives it depth in that regard. Too.
Ty got Sela to sing on it, and it's like a couple of little parts, and it just adds this little element,
Sela Hat came in there and did a few things. Well, take care of those falsettos. That we try to do stuff with falsetto, and it's like, nah, let's get Sela in here and cover this stuff, and she did a great job.
Yeah.
Okay, so recording's done. You guys did a bunch of mixing. You did a bunch of editing, and then you took it to
Lursen Mastering.
LA. Well, no, you took it to when
you
took it to do the mix down.
That's right. Yeah, over at Fowler's.
So you guys spent months in the Tangent Cube fine tuning, and then doing your own mix down in here, and then you took it to.
And then we took it to Fowler's. It's Hidden Creek Studio.
Hidden Creek Studios, Mountain Home, Texas. Old Fowler.
Yeah,
that's right. And he's got amazing gear in there. He's got this Wonder Bar board, 48 channels.
48 channels.
And it's one of the few studios that we could find where we could actually do it at the sampling rate that we were recording at, which is a very high sampling rate. So we spent I don't know 5-6 weekends in there, long weekends, something like that.
Yeah, and I did some live.
I think
streaming.
it was
5-6 weekends.
I did some live streaming from there to the Snake Bros YouTube.
Yeah.
So you guys can check that out on the YouTube channel.
That was just awesome. We were able to just like the whole band went there. We crashed there. Fowler and his wife just cooked us amazing food the whole time, and we just 12-hour days, 14-hour days.
They went above and beyond.
Oh, they were
like Fowler's. Okay, so like normally it's like, oh, it's 8 hours. It's like tough luck, puppy. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
With normal studios, where Fowler is like, hey, you guys can crash here. We're gonna just cook you food.
Oh, he like comped us a weekend. I mean, we were like right at the end, weekend, and we're like, man, we're like our budget's like,
we're out of money.
We're out of money, and he was just like, just come on back. Next weekend.
Let's finish it. And yeah,
dude,
you can't find anyone more cooler than old Fowler Carson.
We also
and his
fixed
bride.
A bunch of his gear.
And his bride.
In the process of
the
fixing
GMA is fixing his gear.
Yeah, that was our like the one thing we could do at the end. Was like, well, hey, we'll like work on the board.
We'll fix
all your gear.
At the end of the studio sessions, we were like, hey, we're mixing down. I was like, oh, well, don't use this channel because we're pulling it out, and GMA's like fixing it.
Well, we had channels that was like, okay, the high pass is just.
Yeah, there were buttons and stuff. It's analog gear, so they get fuzzy.
They get used, they get fuzzy, and you get channels that, the high pass doesn't work on this. Another channel,
the EQ is like doing something weird.
The solo switch is making noise or not working right.
So keeping in with the analog, you guys worked on it on an analog board, and then you bounced it to tape.
Yeah, we were bouncing the tape.
Yeah. And the tape was basically a reference for us because we knew we were going to have it mastered analog, right? So it's like we're running it off the tape to see what the natural analog compression was going to do to the overall compression. Mix.
Yeah,
and we thought we could record this to tape, and then we could send the tape to the mastering studio. When we actually started contacting the mastering studio, which Chris really headed up this whole operation, and found out that like their board at Lursen Mastering basically it sounds like tape, but it's transformers, right? It's not tape.
Compressor and equalizer.
Yeah,
so they didn't want the tape versions.
Yeah, he was like, you can send us tape, but I recommend not doing it. Just give me the raw board bounces.
Okay.
So we were able to send him those, and
Yeah.
and then
He can push it like
we did this cool
Yeah, the
mastering
final,
session.
Yeah, the final
Live
session.
mastering
We
session.
went over to Wild Styles at Smith Sonic, Nick Smith at Smith Sonic Studios, and sat in his control room, got on Zoom on a laptop with Gavin Lurson at Lurson Mastering, and he had the camera like pointed at him over top of his board. And then we connected through an online
a Logic
app.
tool.
It wasn't a Logic tool.
Oh.
It's an app that basically allows you to have this high resolution audio stream.
It was like Audio IO or something.
Yeah, something like that. Now it does come as a plugin
Yeah.
in Logic, but
That's
we
what I
didn't
thought it was a plug-in. Okay.
We didn't use that.
But it streams uncompressed.
Uncompressed, like
straight from
full-
his board
Wow.
to our board.
Yeah.
And
then
so we're-
coming straight out our speakers from his board.
Yes. So we're like sitting in our studio in Texas, or Nick's studio in Texas, listening to what's coming out of his board, and he's in LA. And we're watching him on Zoom. And he'd sit there and he'd like twist some knobs and master, and it would just like get more and more awesome sounding. And then he'd finish the song and he'd turn around, well, gosh, what do you think? You know? And it's like, oh, that's badass.
That sounds awesome.
All right. Well, we'll move to the next track. It was so cool, dude.
I mean, like the Gavin Lurson does like he does Hans Zimmer. A lot of the movie stuff too. A ton of bands, but like he does all the Marvel stuff. He does all the
He did Game of Thrones.
Game
Yeah,
of
he's like
Thrones.
big name.
So like
Mandalorian.
Mandalorian, this guy is he's doing it all
He's won
over in
multiple
LA
Grammys for his mastering.
and it was just a real honor like having the guy that just like does
So I think
everything.
I think
Dude,
it's
I'll never
cool.
forget that.
I think it's cool because you guys, throughout this whole story, and we're running out of time. Here.
We're going over whatever.
But the fans can handle
Give
it.
him a bonus sode.
This
you
is
know?
a bonus.
Yeah, but I want to get through to the end. So we got to
What
move
is the
forward. But
end?
what I'm
is
pointing out here
Where is the end, man?
what I'm pointing out here is that throughout this process, which started 10, 12 years ago,
Which is my idea.
you guys have kind of also taken advantage of the fact that that you're more and more able to record in personal home studios.
Absolutely.
Right.
We've been spending the past decade upgrading our stuff.
Yeah, and Chris has definitely he's building an amazing studio at his house.
Yeah.
And some of the
Eagles Roost.
some of the songs that he redid, he did them at his house, and they're fantastic.
That's
the
awesome.
drums.
Believe me.
But yeah,
So I think that's really cool. Is that like as this project has progressed, the technology is just like also taking leaps and bounds in terms
Yeah.
of the ability for not a giant multi-million-dollar studio to have this gear and kind of like
Right.
make this
Well,
kind of
and
sound.
we're also moving backwards too, in that we just recently bought ourselves a 1/4-inch tape machine.
But that's what I'm saying, because you have all this
$100,
all
buddy.
this because you have all this amazing like high-tech digital gear, you can go
We
back to
can
the
go
analog
and
stuff.
utilize all
Yeah.
the analog.
I haven't
Yeah.
paid for the tape machine was delivered, but I haven't paid for it.
Take the
Oh,
money
man.
and run, baby.
But it's $100. I swear to God.
fired.
Rick, I'm good for it, oh boy.
I swear, I'm good for it.
No, Russ is right. It's like we're taking leaps and bounds. It's crazy with technology what we can do and accomplish. What we can do here in the Tangent Cube of Science.
Yeah. Remember at the dude's house?
Oh yeah.
We had that little Tascam or whatever that thing was.
oh yeah, it was a tape machine.
Yeah, it was a
He
tape
used
machine.
Did you have the
cassette
classic
tapes.
microphone hanging from the ceiling fan in the middle
Yes.
of the room?
Right, yeah. It had 4 inputs, dude.
Yeah.
We'd do stupid radio
3 of them are
shows
going
on
to
it.
the drums, and the other one's just hanging in the middle of the room.
That's right. Yeah. We've come a long way, guys.
Listen, guys. Like you can do this. Like
Yeah.
you can definitely do this. It's not impossible to do this all analog and everything with all the tubes and stuff with technology. You can master it out in LA, and you're sitting there in Texas.
That takes a little bit of a budget, but still.
It takes a lot of
I
budget.
think the main thing is don't compromise on what you want it to sound like.
Yeah.
That's the thing we did on this is we didn't compromise on what we wanted it to sound like.
That's right. Yeah.
All the other albums, it was a collage of all these
Yes.
band practices
And lots of compromises.
and material and compromises that we got all this material, let's make an album.
Yeah.
I don't have
This was the ultimate, we're not compromising
I don't have anything
on
against.
this. We're making it how we want to do it, how
Yeah.
we want it to sound.
So you've got the mastering done, and you guys are, as this is coming out in the main feed, it's the music is being published. How do you feel about the style you're publishing in and you're doing the value for value? What do you guys think about that? This is
I
the
love it.
last final question.
I love it. I basically learned how this works through doing the podcast with you. So it's like
Yeah.
seeing the community that is built around this, like from afar, I'm not much on social media. I've never really been involved in social media to any extent. But to see how people react to something that you're working on and you're doing, and you're just putting your heart into it and putting it out there, and people want to get engaged. And I think it's a beautiful thing. And the way we've tried to do it in the past, more conventional in terms of the music industry and aspiring to rise in the music industry. And it's very difficult, as like to go through the traditional avenues.
Yeah.
I remember back in the day when we were driving around to radio stations and like trying to give them press kits, play our music, and
Yeah.
we're just, it's like we don't need that anymore.
bro.
You don't need it anymore.
Yeah.
And I've been seeing this, I've been seeing the music industry change. I pay a lot of attention to the music industry, and I see, I remember when Napster came out and like all the just crazy, like everybody's all mad because they're giving away music for free. And, Metallica's just getting all bent out of shape and going to war over it. And then it's like they lost, right?
yeah.
And then it's like, okay, now there's streaming platforms, and then you hear people complaining about that. And it's like these people that are at the top of the industry are just losing their shit over the fact that people can get their music and they're not having to buy CDs. And, so I've just been watching this industry change. And for a long time now, even like going back to the Prisoner EP, I was just like, you know what? Screw that industry.
Yeah.
And screw those standards. But I never really had a solid plan or a good alternative until we started doing the podcast, and I started seeing how you can build something online by literally just giving it away for free and counting on that 1% of people who are willing to give back.
Yeah.
And I just think it's a beautiful thing. And I'm just like, man, I have a job. We all have jobs. We've got families, and we're doing this on the weekends for the most part, or we take a week off from work to do it. And it's like, yeah, I'm just going to why am I doing this? I love the music, and I think this whole direction that we took through all of the, I don't know, these forces that were acting upon us, in our lives. And we're just like, we're like, you know what, let's just do it. And it's all about the songs. And then it became all about this album and this idea. And it's like, we developed it because we were obsessed with it. It was all about like creating this thing and making it complete and making it the best we could make it. And I just can't think of a better way to do it than the way we deal with the podcast, because it's like the same force is pushing us to like work on the podcast and make it better and better, but we're giving it away. And it's like, this is great. Let's just give it away. Because if we tried to go the traditional route, we'd still be faced just like every other musician, even musicians in the top, with this streaming platform that's basically giving your music away.
Yeah.
I mean, they're getting pennies.
Yeah.
Well,
For a
you're
play.
getting pennies.
I'm getting
They're
pennies.
not necessarily getting pennies.
A lot of
and
them
I
are.
think-
No, because they make most of their money playing shows.
Well, and I think that goes back to just the idea of control, right? Like
He means
we
the
as-
platforms.
The
Platforms aren't getting.
Oh yeah, the platforms
Yeah.
are making money.
Yeah.
they're making
I'm,
money.
I'm talking about the musicians.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that goes back to the control thing, like, right? So we want to be able to control our music.
Absolutely.
But in this structure that they had before, we'll say the internet of 2010 or so, they had control over everything. They were in control of manufacturing CDs. They had all the control
That's right.
over manufacturing.
They had the
vinyls.
distribution
They had
channels. They had all the
distribution
the
channels.
radio
They had
stations.
all the radio stations. They had
Yeah, they own the publishing and the studios.
all the
Yes.
control over the publishing and copyrights of BMI and
Yeah.
all those other.
And that's the other thing, dude.
Organizations.
The publishing was divided into 200%.
Yeah.
Yes, instead of
So that they could
100%.
tell the artist, you
You're
get
getting
100%
100%.
Yeah.
for of your
But that's
publishing.
actually
Yeah.
50%.
It's only 50 because the
Yeah.
publishing company is taking the other
sold
100%. It's
Yeah,
such
it's so- yeah.
bullshit.
Yeah, it was a
and
huge scam.
It's a complete scam.
Huge acoustic guitar shoved up their ass.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like, yes, it's scam after scam, but yes, people succeed in it and they do great, and people find their way, and there are great bands that have lived in that industry and succeeded and thrived in it their entire lives. We
that
didn't.
industry exists for that industry, not
Yeah,
for
so
the artist.
I just think it's like from my perspective, just being like a hillbilly out here, like working my job, doing my podcast,
Hillbilly.
like building a family. It's like we're doing this on the weekends, and I just think it's a wonderful piece of art, and I want people to have it, and I want people to also use it. Like there's so many content creators out there that they have their YouTube channel or whatever, and they have their followers, and they make great material that people like and support. And it's like, hey, if they want to use our music, that's awesome.
Well,
I want them to do it.
So is it still going to be licensed under Creative Commons?
No,
All that?
because
No?
I think Creative Commons is going by the wayside now, because the way YouTube used to pull your video down if you had like some copywritten material in there. Now they just have like
Bots that
algorithms
do
and
it.
stuff that
Yeah.
figure it out, and then they allocate funds to the copyright owner.
Yeah.
So it's like Creative Commons is almost unnecessary at this point.
Okay.
Unless you don't want to generate any funds. So it's like, I don't know how to do it. All I'm saying is like, if somebody's going to use it in their video, I'll approve it. Pretty much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If the question comes to me from YouTube, like, yeah, I'm just like, yeah, use it.
Yeah, I think of Creative Commons as like use it, share it, don't change it. That's how I
Well,
look at it.
there are a couple of
don't
different
try
tiers.
to make money
Yeah.
off of it.
Yeah.
There are a couple of different ways
Don't
to do it
sell
because,
it, yeah.
because there are other parts of Creative Commons that is like use it, change it, share it, whatever you want.
Yeah.
And then there's some that's like if you're a corporation, you can't use it
Yeah.
without a license and stuff. So it's I looked at it, and it's basically you're just creating a code. I don't know if I'm going to do that. I just don't think it's even necessary.
Not necessary
anymore.
at this point. Yeah. So you guys are giving away the main album, 12 tracks. Also there's
Uncompressed wave.
full quality,
High resolution.
and then there's also instrumental versions for those of you who are creators that want to use stuff with no vocals in it for background music, whatever. I mean, you can use the vocal stuff too, but there's also going to be high quality instrumental versions available for everything.
And they are not available yet. We haven't released them yet at this point. And like when this comes out on the 21st of June, we will have not released
The instrumentals
yet. They will be released at some point.
Oh, I think all that extra content will be on the Patreon.
That's right.
Well, a couple,
Available
like
early,
one
right.
more thing though. We are releasing a 180 gram vinyl.
That's right.
It's going to be
Yeah,
glorious.
the vinyls. We've been talking about that on the main show.
It's going to
Yeah.
be glorious,
Yeah,
folks.
there's going to be vinyls, and people can
It's
get
gonna be
those.
glorious. And
Those
it's
are gonna be
a lot
expensive.
of secret stuff.
We're not
highly
messing
expensive.
around with this vinyl. folks.
$1 million.
If you want a physical album.
Yeah, physical
It's reasonably priced.
analog album.
Now,
Vinyl
we won't have
is,
a CD, but we know only the old farts.
So we got.
at this point.
Well, yeah, there's gonna be print on demand CDs probably at some point. Kyle was
Yes.
talking about that, but you guys are gonna get a vinyl run, at least one, and then if it's popular enough, maybe another one.
Yeah, maybe another one. You know, the thing about the vinyl run, it's just going to take a while, right? Because
8
with
months.
supply chain, they're low on vinyl. With Ukraine and all the wars going on right now, apparently all of Europe is without nickel. So all the nickel plating is being pushed back to USA. So now we have to do their final master cuts. And their stamps, their metal stamps here because they can't get
the stamps
nickel
for the
over
record.
there.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So now that's pushed
The
it back.
master stamp,
So like
yeah.
we're so can't get vinyl, can't get nickel. So it's taking us a while. So we got quoted March, but we're thinking that it could come before then. So we're gonna do our best, and the artwork is completed. It looks fantastic.
It looks phenomenal. Well, we're doing final talks tomorrow, but
I think final talks
There's
on
gonna
that,
be
but
there's gonna be merch too, like freaking
Yeah, we're gonna set up.
artwork merch.
we're revamping the old artwork, and we're bringing in new artwork as
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
yeah. So it's all getting there. But I want to say one thing though. First off, everybody, grab your beer.
I got it.
Russ, do you have your beer?
I have.
Ready?
It's like
We want to toast to all you fans. Yeah, toast. All right, yeah. We'd like thank you all you fans for all the support. Really appreciate it. I got one little thing of advice though. I would like to give out to the old fans. Never, ever try to record a record while you're writing it. Because you'll start in 2016 and it just won't get out
You'll
to
finish in 2022.
2022. Yeah, 2022. Okay? Takes a long time, guys. Get in there, practice. Make sure that
Write it first.
your freaking bass player isn't hanging out making sweet love in Austin to his woman. And then the same with your
I
drummer.
will not deny
in
my
Tennessee.
behavior, but
Hey, your drummer's in Tennessee making sweet love to his woman.
at least I only went 2 hours away.
Just
I didn't even go. I was
just
still the same 2 hours.
write
I've
it
always been
first.
away.
Rock and roll and write it. Now it's gonna come out really rock and roll and hard, loud, fast.
You're gonna want to turn it up,
Slow it down. Record it to tape and then slow the tape down.
and
Okay.
then don't forget there's one track you might want to listen to.
I would say the piece of advice is focus on the art. Make the art the best art that it can be. And that's been my driving force. It's like, it's taken a long time, but it's like, dude, instead of focusing on the industry or whatever is going on with the band and blah, 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 all that same old crap, it's like,
all
dude,
noise.
let's make the best art we can possibly make because that's what I want to be out there.
No, yeah. I'm
So
just
that-
kidding.
that
Though.
was-
Like
I know
right
you're
as
kidding,
you
but
go.
well, you're the kidding guy, and I was being the serious guy.
Yeah. Good cop, bad cop, folks.
do it for yourself.
Well, I'm just
Not-
saying, it
not
takes
for
a long
everyone
time
else.
if you try to write it as you go. Try to get it all figured out before you hit record.
Or just do what we do here at Snake Rose and forget to hit the record button entirely.
It's all
right,
and we're going to be doing more of this, though, right?
Check us out, $50dynasty.com. That's the website. You'll be able to download all of the album high res MP3s, whatever you want from there. We should have links from there to our Patreon page, patreon.com/$50dynasty. Sign up. We've got lots of tiers. So if you want to contribute, we're going to be working on more stuff, and we're going to be getting it done a lot faster than 5 years.
Yeah.
Support the band. We'll be putting special content in there that will only be for the Patreon supporters, and there should be some lower tiers and higher tiers, and it's value for value. So whatever you can afford, whatever you think it's worth to you, give back to us, and that's very much appreciated. And even if it's $1 a month, that's like $12 a year.
We could do lowest tier is 1/100th of a $50 Dynasty. 50 cents.
We could do that. 50
You got
cents.
1%.
I don't
of a
even care. I was
Dynasty.
like,
You gotta look at the returns from Patreon. Like they'll take. I mean, you won't even get anything from that.
Well,
for that
yeah,
transaction.
but how
Yeah.
much
Well, we'll
are they
figure it
gonna
out.
get,
Right now-
50 cents, you get 30 seconds of a new song. Every
Listen,
couple months.
listen, folks. If you want to follow our drummer, go to Chicks Before Sticks, or if you want to follow our bass player, go for Chicks Before Bass Picks. You can follow both of them on both of those handles. That's right, buddy.
You fucked us. Whoa. I did nothing of the sort.
Where were you?
I was busy fucking someone else.
All right, guys. Hope
Interview over.
Yeah, hope you enjoyed this special edition of Brothers of the Serpent podcast. And I think we're going to cut it off there. These guys have already had too many beers.
Whoa.
That's their third high five
There's no
in
such
this
thing
segment.
as too many beers.
We love you guys.
Always have.
Always will.
Nonsense.
Good night,
I'm not
Domino.
even
Get
at
back
late
to
night
work.
capability yet. Get back to work.